Welcome to the RotoWire Start Sit Show. It is week 3. The season is already flying by. Rankings are on the screen as you see here with the rankings. If you see a red-ish color, that player's properly ranked but has additional downside and no one questions or asks, I'll go over why that downside exists. If you see a player with some green, the player, again, properly ranked but has more upside than normal. Injury, non-skill position players are on the right. I'll be citing those when it impacts a matchup. And outside of that, I got a couple super chat questions, and we will get rolling for today. We're starting out with Thomas C. Pollard, Swift, Dobbins need, it looks like PPR, and London or Pittman. So not sure if you need one or two of Pollard, Swift, or Dobbins. Pollard has already shown to be a good floor play. He's playing a ton of snaps, hasn't gotten in the end zone yet. It's a matter of time. He last year you saw it, even on a bad offense, he finds the end zone eventually. So I do think that Tony Pollard against Indy, it's not an overwhelming matchup. It's a matchup where he can continue to do well. He did drop a pass in one of the games, so that's here or there, but has ability there. DeAndre Swift, he is nicked up. I think the Bears against Dallas are going to look to get Caleb Williams on track. I think it's a real important game for the Bears to do that. So I can see a world where the Bears do give a good floor for Swift, and he could score a touchdown. And that is squarely in play. If they get the ball on the 1 yard line, I think he has a great chance of scoring. J.K. Dobbins has been very solid, playing about almost half of the snaps. But I think your best plays here are Dobbins and Pollard. I think your best blends of floor and ceiling. Swift is a little more boom or bust. And then PPR, London or Pittman. So London had 15 targets in week 1. Last week, it was very clear Minnesota's defense was playing against Atlanta, and Atlanta did not want Michael Penix to have to deal with the crazy looks of Brian Flores. So they just ran. They got a lead. They never really needed to pass. And remember, London was dinged up with a shoulder last week too, but he's better now. So I think all that can said, I think London is still an elite play every week. That 15 targets in week 1, yeah, you're not going to get 15. But remember back to last year, we know that Michael Penix will pepper London with targets. So I have him as my wide receiver 7. J.C. Horn is not a concern to me for London. London, big physical receiver, very few issues there. Pittman is always a decent play, but I just don't think you can really factor that in because, again, last week was very explainable as to why London didn't have the game. And then Chris, half PPR, Dobbins or Krosky Merritt. So Dobbins has a very stable role. I do think there'll be goal line opportunities. I just remember, look, Chris Rodriguez will be active today. And coach, oh my gosh, head coach said, can't think of his name right now. Weird. But he said that Rodriguez is his short yardage and goal line guy. Now that he's active, assuming active, that I think is his role. Krosky Merritt's going to get carries. He's going to get anywhere from 8 to 12 carries, but I don't think he's going to see many receptions and maybe a target. I don't think he's seeing goal line looks. So it's going to be a lot of empty calorie stuff. You're going to probably get between 2 and 10 points per game from Krosky Merritt. I don't think there's a whole lot of upside there. Dobbins, I think, has a better blend of floor and upside, so I like him a good deal better. Odunze or McMillan. Good one here. So McMillan's been cleaning up in garbage time, but last week the garbage time was better because Arizona lost all 3 corners. And that was why Bryce Young threw for a ton of yards because Arizona had like nobody left in the secondary. Odunze didn't have a great week 1, but he scored a touchdown. But this game against Dallas, again, I fully expect that Ben Johnson has no choice but to make this the game where Caleb Williams gets confidence and they have a big passing thing because they have to build on something. This is their first game where they have a little bit of an advantage. So I think we go at Romo Odunze here. We take that and we run with it. All right, that's a super chat caught up for now. I know there'll be more later, but we'll get to the questions that are sitting in the hopper here. Starting out with Steven, who posted this at 6:06 a.m. Central. So I have a nice, easy start there. Happy Sunday. Hunter Henry or Dallas Goedert. So Hunter Henry, week 1 looked like he did the last 8 weeks of last year, which is about 50 yards a game. And then last week we saw that thorn in the side, Austin Hooper, who was a thorn in the side last year for Henry's upside. That was a problem. But Henry often will have a high floor with his quarterback, Drake May. I have him as my tight end 11, But again, that thorn in the side Hooper is something to worry about. Dallas Goedert missed last week. He's back. The Rams are going to have some pass rush. I do think Goddard has some opportunities, but I think Goddard's more boom or bust. I still think Henry has a little more of a stable floor. So if you just want to save play and make sure you bank somewhere in the neighborhood of 6-ish points and maybe a little more, maybe even 8, I think Henry's your play. But if you really need to swing for a little more, Goddard would probably have a better chance of scoring a touchdown than Henry. And Kevin, good morning to you as well. Daniel Jones or Jake Browning. So, the Daniel Jones thing, he's a point guard, and it's great. They have a good offensive line. They have a running game with Jonathan Taylor. They have receivers and options that function in all different areas of the field, and you can't really just take one away. And so Jones is being put in a great spot here on the road at Tennessee, a little different than the 2 home games played in the Dome. But I do tend to think right now what we're seeing is useful. Jake Browning's going to be a lot of quick passes because that's what we saw last time he was in a couple of years ago when he took over for Joe Burrow. But Brian Flores, again, they're going to send a lot of pressure. It's going to be one of those things where he has to get the ball out real fast. I think the game with Cincy and Minnesota could be lower scoring. Now, if you think it's going to be a shootout, then you play Browning and don't ask questions. I think it's going to be lower scoring, so I'm going to default to Jones because I think what we're seeing here is somewhat repeatable. And that Tennessee matchup does not scare me. Kevin, let's see. You need 3 from the following. Jennings, who's beat up a little bit. I can't get a firm report on what his health truly is, but he played last week hurt and he was fine. Did great last week. JSN, apparently the bug that he has is not an issue. According to the coaching staff, they have him on the injury report, but they don't expect it to limit him. Diggs, Devontae Smith, De'Ami Brown, Troy Franklin, Montgomery. So you're needing 3. So Jennings is the one I'm a little more concerned about because I don't know if he had a setback and I didn't practice, and that's an issue. He thought he'd get better each week, so there could be something we don't know about. So he's very risky. JSN, you got to play. And outside of that, I still think Montgomery has a decent floor here. I know Baltimore's not the best, but they're without Matabike, they're without Kyle Van Noy, so they're going to have to be shifting personnel around a little bit. I think Montgomery in a higher scoring game has a chance to get you a floor. So realistically, Jennings is your swing for the fence play. And here's what I might do, actually. Since Jennings plays in the late window, and so does Troy Franklin, I might see if Jennings is active. And if he's active, I think you got to play him because Arizona's down their top 2 corners, 2 of their top 3 corners, I should say. And Melton is banged up. I don't know if he's going or not, but he's not 100%. So I would probably make a late game decision. Jennings is active. I go with him. If not, I go with Franklin. But otherwise, I would put in JSN and Monty. Remy, half PPR. I'm going with Judkins easily here. Judkins, this was no surprise to me. Dan House, he's starting this week. Yeah, they gave him 10 carries and 3 targets, and he looks like he's the real deal against a tougher defense last week. So I think he is going to hit the ground running here. He plays for a coach that knows how to optimize the run game. So I'm going to go with Judkins in this one. Green Bay, I'd be very worried about the passing game and the pass rush, but I think Judkins is going to be fine being able to run against the Packers and catching the ball too. And then last one, Tootin, Travion Henderson, or Algier. Tootin had 10 touches last week, and the ability to be explosive is good. Algier was very involved, but I said earlier when you heard me talk about Atlanta, Minnesota, I really think they didn't want to pass to deal with that. I think this week is a little more, and then they're playing Carolina. I get it. So I think Algier is probably, you're going to need a touchdown on him, I would think, because I think they're going to lean on Bijan as long as they can. It's between Tootin and Algier, and it's close. I think Tootin is a little more swing for the fence. I think Algier has a safer floor, but I think Tootin's going to be involved. The snaps were like 25%, but he had 10 touches. So it's close between those two, but I think Tootin would have the chance to have a bigger play. And especially, they're playing a tough Houston defense. But again, if it's a screen pass to, beat the pressure, that could be big. I think Algier is safer though. Tyler or Knicks, don't like either. I have them as 8 and 9. I have Murray with downside. Nick, this is a real tough one here. The 49ers defense is playing at a real high level right now. Robert Saleh is really getting them geared up. And so I think ultimately Bo Nix is probably in a higher scoring game. So I would go ahead and go with that. Even though I have 8 and 9, but the downside I have marked on Murray. That's what makes me nervous. The downside's real there. Good morning, Mahendra. Let's see here. You got, appreciate it. Yes, you got 2 questions, full PPR. Chuba Hubbard or Mason. So Chuba Hubbard scored a couple of garbage time receiving touchdowns. If you love it for fantasy, we banked those points and we're happy we got him. Playing Atlanta, I see it as a middling matchup. I think that but now here's the thing. Hubbard lost the center and he lost his right guard to injured reserve last week. That's going to be a hit to their game. Now, I know he catches the ball too. Mason, I think, is in a good spot. Cincinnati's defense is terrible. Darisaw is back, the left tackle. So I think Mason's fine here. I think Mason's going to get, he's going to flirt with 18-ish carries and there could be goal line opportunities. To me, I think Mason is the play here. And then one of three, McMillan, Hollywood Brown, or Ibuka. So Adam Schefter reports that Ibuka is probably going to be monitored by the coaching staff. They don't think he's 100%. They think he could have snaps limited. Not whatever. That could mean nothing, but it could mean something. McMillan has had a good floor so far this year, at least 11 PPR points in his games. So I think you got to go with that. Hollywood Brown had that really bad game. He had a really great game in week 1. I just think McMillan's your play, and I think he's just so much safer than the other two. Chris, good morning to you. Half PPR, Ibuka, Stevenson, Krosky, Merritt. I am going to put Stevenson first, not just because he had the big game last week, but he is their guy. And Pittsburgh is awful against the run. We saw it against the Jets. We saw it last week against Seattle. Kenneth Walker, who really scuffled week 1, just tore him up. And I do think this is the Pittsburgh. Their players are out of position on defense. They're banged up. Highsmith is out. So I like Stevenson's 1. Pearsall's probably 2 here. I never know how much they're going to pass. He's been a little, unpredictable with targets, but I think he's a very solid. I think he's probably a 1A with Stevenson. It's gut call on that one you would probably go with. And then I think, honestly, it'd be Ibuka 3rd, even though he could be limited on snaps. And then Krosky Merritt's 4th, because, again, I don't think there's going to be receptions many in his game. I don't know that there's going to be goal line touches, so that it really shrinks the pool of points. Kevin, Hockenson or Pitts? My full expectation is that Minnesota tries to run as much as they can. I think Carson Wentz is probably going to lean real heavily on Jefferson, and Pitts has been involved through 2 weeks, and there's nothing bad about this matchup. I think I got Hockenson at 10. I got Pitts at 12 with upside, but I think if it's my lineup, I think there's the floor could be a problem for Hockenson. So I might give Pitts a whirl in this matchup because I'll take that upside play. But Hockenson ultimately is a little safer. He should get 4 catches, 3 to 4 catches. And Pitts, you never know when he'll disappear. That's always why we rank him lower. We just don't know if he'll disappear. Oh, I got another super chat before I get back to Chris. All right. And we got Tyler. Stafford or Browning? Actually, I love Stafford here because when they brought in Devontae Adams, it really changes the whole calculus. You remember the playoff game last year, the snowstorm in Philly, they were moving the ball up and down the field in the second half. But see, they played a lot of man against the Rams. The Rams struggle with it. But now with Devontae Adams, you play man, Devontae Adams crush you. So there's that. So I do think that you got to, Stafford should have a great opportunity here. I think this game has some scoring to it. I do like Stafford. Browning's close. But like I said, I do think that Minnesota's defense could cause a bit of a problem for him. I think it's a lot of short passes. Can Chase break 2 long ones? Yeah, and then he can make your day. But I think Stafford is a little bit safer, and I think Stafford could have a sneaky big game here. That addition to Adams is going to get better as the week goes on. And then you have Kyler or Mason. Maybe you mean Kyron? You've got a quarterback versus a running back. You always got to go with the quarterback. But if you mean Kyron Williams or Mason, I have Kyron as 10, running back 10 with downside. I have Mason with 16. Williams always gets volume. Now, last week, Corum looked good. But again, the history of Sean McVay is he keeps playing Kyron Williams no matter how good or bad he is. So I think that you got to keep him high. But the downside is there because he's not efficient at all. And matchup against Philly, not the best. So the downside scares me. I think the safer pick is Williams because we know the role. But I think if it's my lineup, that downside of Williams worries me. And I would probably give Mason because there's a world where Mason scores a couple touchdowns here. And then Scott, welcome in, Scott. Ramondre or JMO. So again, that Pittsburgh's just not defending the run. They just are out of position. It's very problematic. And so I just think that Ramondre, he's seen like over 50% of the snaps. He's heavily involved. nothing scary in the matchup here, and they don't like the pass rush on Drake either because the Steelers pass rush still has some juice to it. JMO is real boomer bust, but especially in this matchup, I expect, even though Matabike's out and Van Noy's out, I do expect that Baltimore's smart enough to try to attack the interior line of Detroit. And if that's the case, getting downfield passes to Jameson Williams is going to be a bit problematic. So I'd go with Ramondre. I think the floor is safer, and I think they both could have ceiling games. And then you have Ramondre, Devontae Smith, or Pickens. I would go with Pickens here. The Bears are down. Jalen Johnson, not that Pickens plays a slot. He doesn't, but Kyler Gordon's out. Bears depth corner, Jalen Jones is out. And the Bears don't have a pass rush, and I think this game shoots out. So I would give Pickens the whirl there. And then Chris got another one here. Half PPR, Dobbins or Merritt. And all right, we'll go with that. Again, I think Dobbins is a more stable play. I think his role in the offense is much more secure. Where Merritt, I really think it's a three-man. I think he's a starter, but I think it's a three-man game. McNichols is the receiver. Chris Rodriguez should be healthy, active. She should be the goal line and short yards back. Krosky Merritt kind of gets those between the 20s carries, but Dobbins has a better chance of scoring a touchdown, I think. And then Odunze or McMillan, I'm going with Odunze here. I think this game shoots out. Dallas is up. Trevon Diggs late add to the injury report with a knee injury on Saturday. That's not good. Deron Bland's out. So yeah, I think that's the way we look at that. Odunze, McMillan has had a nice floor, but I mean, Odunze has as well. And I think this game could shoot out. Remember, McMillan ate when all three Arizona cornerbacks went out, and it was a blowout. It was all garbage time, but with no corners, it was easy. Scott, you got Wandale or Pickens, and look, I called the Wandale one last week. I said that Deron Bland was out, and I said they could really attack the middle of that field, and they did. And you could attack Kansas City in the middle too, but it's not to that level. And I really think that Russell Wilson's going to see some looks from Spagnuolo today, and I think it's not going to be easy for him just to sit back like he did last week. So I would go with Pickens here. I expect a shootout. The Bears are 3 of their top 5 corners are out, and they don't get a pass rush. So I would go with Pickens there. All right, Super Chat's caught up, and see where we're at here. All right, so let's find my spot here. We had Chris, we had that, and I'm not sure if I answered this one. Pick 2. Yeah, I know I didn't answer. Chris, so Pittman, Krosky Merritt, or Olave. I think Pittman has to be considered here. We see that the way Shane Steichen, he was a genius 6 years ago, and then he was considered not a genius in the last few years. Well, he's looking like that genius version. He's just scheming people open. Even with Patrick Surtain on defense last week, he beat him with his receivers a few times. So I think Pittman would be your play here. And then Krosky Merritt and Olave are close. Olave is getting a floor of volume. The Seattle defense is probably going to be a little tough for them, but I think they're going to trail and they're going to have to throw. So I trust the floor of Olave, and I don't know that Merritt is the upside play, so I kind of leave him out. Michael, Daniel Jones, and Tulip, you start him over Knicks and Goff. I have Goff ranked lowly, but I have an upside in case that game shoots out. But I do think that interior line's an issue. I think that the Lions caught a great break playing the Bears last week, and they're banged up secondary and no pass rush. But I think when it's not like pristine for Goff, it's going to be a problem. But I do recognize there's upside because if the Ravens can't get a pass rush, then things could work out well. But I would start Jones over Goff. And Knicks, I've got them real close. I got quarterback 9 and quarterback 11. It really is a coin flip here. I do think Denver and the Chargers could be a higher scoring game, which is why I have Knicks ranked higher. So I would, but if your gut says Daniel Jones, I would not feel bad or worried about it. They're very close in the rankings. But I would start Knicks. I think the game goes a little higher scoring. And then Delroy, full PPR flex spot. You got Tillman, Stevenson, Wicks, or Io Manor. Again, I think I like Stevenson here. You heard me talk about him just a minute ago, so I don't need to rehash all that. But that matchup with Pittsburgh is probably as good as it gets right now. I can't believe it. But we're saying Pittsburgh is one of the worst run defenses in the league. And from what I saw on film, I think it's real. Delroy, Tillman, Io Manor, Pearsall, DJ Moore, Olave, and Ridley. Well, everybody knows that I'm a DJ Moore apologist, but again, with Dallas being down Bland and Diggs a late week downgrade and no passers. I do think I think Moore and Odunze eat. So Moore is in for me. I don't like the Tillman matchup because the pass rush is going to be a problem for Flacco this week, and I think getting the ball to the intermediate is going to be bad. Io Manor, it's not the best matchup for him either. I do like Pearsall here. I like Olave and Ridley. So the last four: Pearsall, Moore, Olave, and Ridley. Love Io Manor for the season. Io Manor for the season, but maybe not in this one. And again, Tillman I like a lot too, but not in this matchup. Diggs versus Dobbins in full PPR. Diggs is still working up a snap share. And I think if New England could run the ball and they're going to try to run it as much as they can, I think Dobbins has more stability here. I think he has a higher chance of scoring a touchdown. So I give him a very, very close edge. If your gut says Diggs, I get it. I get it. Baker versus Goff. I have Baker as quarterback 6, but I have the downside tag because he's missing 2 tackles and a guard. Not so good. And the Jets are down Jermaine Johnson, so that helps a little bit. At least one of the better edge rushers for the Jets is missing, so that helps a little bit. And Mayfield, he runs and finds a way to get it done. So to me, I know like I have Goff marked for downside, but I have them very vastly apart in the rankings. And Baker hasn't always played great, but he gets it done for fantasy. Against Houston, he gets it done. So I think we got to just roll with Baker and just say, unless you have one of the elite options, I think you can't get him out. Henry, if JSN does well, he's going to play. He's going to play. Last report was that the coaches expect him to be full go. But if it came down to it, you'd be making a late game switch. And I believe Pickens is in the late window. So, yeah, Pickens should be in the late window. So if you got to make a late game pivot, then go ahead and do that. Kraft or Fannin. I know Kraft had 4 targets in week 1, and he averaged 4 targets in the second half of last season. He had 7 last week and schemed wide open all day, which is what his coach does. But I still think you can't sit him. Even if he gets the 4 targets, Kraft's just been too good. And again, and people will say Cleveland's great against a tight end. Okay, but who do they play? It's not like Cincinnati has a real tight end. And I'm trying to remember who the matchup was last week, but I just don't think they're playing Green Bay. I'm sorry, I backed that. Well, they're playing each other. That's the point. So I think that the Cleveland being rated high against the tight end, I think that's kind of a 2-week thing. I think that's going to normalize. So Kraft's your play. Fannon's getting a nice floor, but Kraft, man, they scheme him open. And if the Browns are going to bring some pass rush, I think there's going to be some space for Kraft. I don't think it's hard to sit Kraft. Really hard to sit him. Terminal Sarcasm, Shepard over Abuka and Scott Fishbowl. Sterling Shepard, we've seen him, and he's still a good player, but the thing is, he doesn't really have a ceiling. And even if Abuka plays half the snaps, I think the odds of getting something done are still far better because Shepard could play every down and might get 2 targets. So, but Abuka plays, I know he's going to have opportunity. So I just think that I get it. But if Abuka's active, which we expect him to be, I just think that's Shepard's a little too much of a reach for that one. Delagizi, you got Daniel Jones or Caleb Williams. I have Caleb Williams as my quarterback 5. Again, I expect Ben Johnson. I said, look, everybody who listened to me back in August, I said the Bears will have 2 rough weeks to start the season. I knew that in advance. They're playing Minnesota. They're playing Detroit. They're installing a new offense. This was all going to be a problem. But I said little more experience. Now the easy opponent. Yeah, I love Caleb Williams there. Danny Jones certainly good play. But Caleb Williams had 21 and 25 fantasy points in the 2 bad matchups. That tells you something. So yeah, I'm gonna go. But I get it. I get the Daniel Jones hype train. I do get it. Caleb Williams may not have been great for NFL, but he's been fine for fantasy so far. Oh, I got some super. No, I hang out with 7. I'm caught up on super chat. Oh, Chris, appreciate you. Thank you for that nice comment. All right, let's see where I was at here now. And I am on Michael. All right. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate those kind words. PPR 12 team. Hold on. I always have the notifications from Rappaport and Schefter, so I was got to see if it's something a big deal on here. All right, so you have PPR 12 team at RB2. Swift, Benangai, or Henderson. I do think you got to go with Swift here. Swift is healthy enough to play. Even though I think the Bears pass heavy, there's going to be running. There's a chance for a goal line touchdown. Henderson is only seeing about 30-ish% of it. He was splitting backup snaps with Antonio Gibson. Gibson was playing in all times in the game, first quarter, fourth quarter. So I think right now, Henderson's role in the offense is not useful. He did get a few targets, so there's that. But I think Swift has a much more stable floor, and that Dallas defense is not good. We got another super chat before I get back to John. Let me see here. Got Anthony D, and it's you have Sutton, Hollywood Brown, Jennings, or Cup to fill in the flex. Now, I appreciate the kind words, Anthony. Anthony, Sutton was down a little bit last week. We did have 6 for 61 and a touchdown in the opener. Last week, I know that Franklin got more targets, but Sutton is still a focal point of this offense. And I think he is the most stable. Cooper Cup, I just think it was purely the opponent last week. It was an opponent-driven thing. I think what we saw in week 1 is more what we're going to see from him throughout the year. I think that's Jennings is dinged up, so I think you don't need to take a chance here. And Hollywood Brown, we saw last week when he had an opportunity, didn't do a lot. Now the matchup is good this week, but again, I don't know how the game plan will tilt him. I think you got to ride with Sutton because most times he's going to get a couple downfield shots. Most of the time he's going to see red zone looks, and they hate him, so they mean a lot. Here, Jawan Jennings is out. That's per Adam Schefter. Will not play and will be out. So again, Jawan Jennings out. So so that answers those questions for whoever had those. So Anthony D, thanks for that super chat question that you had. John, Standard League, Abuka or Odunze. You got to go to Odunze here. Again, Abuka's not 100%. Odunze has a phenomenal matchup, and I think the Bears and Cowboys are going to have a shootout here. Henderson or Mason, to me, this one's not so close. Mason, I think, gets 18 carries. He has goal line opportunity. Henderson's playing about 30% of the snaps tops. It might be 25, top of my head. So it's just not even close there. Patriots or Texas defenses are always so fickle. Patriots, they're playing Aaron Rodgers. The pass rush is decent, but I think the Steelers can kind of get some play action going. Christian Gonzalez is out. I would probably just go with the better defense. I'd probably just go with the Texans. And hey, at least they're playing Trevor Lawrence, so there's that, right? All right. Delegizi start 2. Genty, Krosky, Merritt, Hampton, Ibuka. So Genty's just a volume is king in fantasy football. He hasn't been great, but he's getting a ton of volume. And if you keep getting volume, you have a floor, and eventually some decent things can happen. So I think you need to start. And against Washington. Washington's not an overwhelming matchup. So I think you go with the volume is there. And then the rest is tough because I think Hampton and Krosky Merritt have pretty similar roles. In terms of Ibuka, they're playing the Jets, and that's not the best matchup for him either. So I think that said, Hampton is more likely to see a target or two and more likely to see a goal line look than Krosky Merritt. So I think I give Hampton the edge, and the 2 rookies who are disappointing everybody. But I'm going to recommend them for those reasons. Master J3, good morning to you as well. Full PPR, Sutton, Krosky Merritt, Judkins, or Pittman. And you need one. The safest of this group is probably Sutton. You heard me talk about earlier. Last week was a little bit down, but he is their number 1 receiver. And I know Franklin out-targeted him. I get all that. But Sutton has a real role here. And honestly, the cornerback matchup with the Chargers does not scare me for him. The boom bust play, which I think could be a great play, would be Judkins. Judkins, to me, he looked like a player that really is going to be a force. First game, 10 for 61. He caught 3 passes. I would clearly named the starter already. I think they see him as a 3-down back. But again, there's going to be a little bit of risk. At Green Bay, much better against the pass than the run. I believe Judkins could do well here. But I think your safest pick is Sutton. But I think your ceiling play would be taking a swing for Judkins. And next one, full PPR, Quentin Johnston or Devontae Smith. So Quentin Johnston has been amazing through 2 weeks. Denver got beat up through the air last week because their linebackers got compromised. They were attacked there. A lot of underneath stuff. But I think it's really hard to attack Denver's corners downfield. And I think Quentin Johnston, he's got to get the touchdown. And he's not scoring every week. He's probably going to score in 7 games this year. That's a max. That's a high-end number of scoring 7 games. He's already scored in 2. I think if we keep rolling the dice on the touchdowns, I don't know that they're there. And I know they're passing a lot. Devontae Smith hasn't been good. I get it. He has not been good. But I think his floor is better. So look at it this way. if you want to go boom, bust, and swing for the upside, then go with Johnson. I think Smith probably gets you at least 7 PPR points in this game, and maybe even gets you at least 10. I think they're going to have a little more emphasis on the pass, not a lot, but enough. But I think he's safer. But Johnson is more upside because of what we've seen so far. Roger, need to start 3 of these: London, Debo, Ibuka, or more. Since Ibuka's not 100%, his snaps are going to be monitored. I think you just make it easy and you start the 3 players who are healthy. And DJ Moore, again, I think the Bears unlock their offense this week. They finally have a nice matchup. Master J3, Judkins or Hampton. I'm going Judkins here. I like I said, for what I saw last week, fully expect him to have a big role. And I think he's the real deal. And I think Green Bay, again, a great pass defense. I think they can be run on. I think Judkins is your player. Hampton splitting too much work and hasn't looked great either. We have another super chat from Joseph. Joseph, you appreciate the kind words. You said thanks. And who should you use for wide receiver? Do Quentin Johnson, DJ Moore, Pearsall, or Ridley? So again, I know DJ Moore's had right about 10 PPR points in each of the 2 games, and that has not been exciting. But as I said, the Bears are playing Dallas. Deron Bland, slot corner, down. Saturday, Trevon Diggs. Saturday injury report with a knee. It's a late week injury. And this guy's coming off a serious knee injury. So they don't have a pass rush. The Bears are probably going to fix their passing game today. DJ Moore and Romo Odunze are a big part of that. So I'm going to go with DJ Moore here because his floor is good, but I think you get a ceiling game here. And then for your flex, Joseph, you want to know about Mason, Ramondre, Hampton, or use one of the wide receivers mentioned. I think of the running backs here, I do think Mason is your play. They're playing Cincinnati, who's not a good defense. Christian Darrisaw is back, so that's going to really help that offensive line. They're without their center, Ryan Kelly. It's not exciting, but I think Mason is going to see a very big workload. He has a chance to score a touchdown. He has a chance to score 2 touchdowns. So I think, and again, I like Stevenson's matchup, but I think Mason is like the guy here. So that's what I would go with there over those receivers as well. All right, Joseph, thank you for doing the super chat. You were very appreciated. And then Bill, let's get this next. Bill, TD heavy scoring with yardage. DJ Moore, Romeo Dobbs. Again, you just heard me talking about DJ Moore, and I'm going to stick to that story. I do like Dobbs this week, but I don't think the volume is there. I think that, and I don't like, you know what, because Dobbs can see quite a few snaps on Denzel Ward, and I don't really like that when that happens. Probably even as 40% of the snaps, that'd be a big downgrade there. And then running back Pacheco, Judkins, or Jordan Mason. So you heard me all waxing positive about Judkins, but again, I think Mason is more stable here. I think the matchup is really good against Cincinnati. So I do think that Mason is going to be a cornerstone, and I do think that Minnesota can end up utilizing game script to his advantage. I think this game stays close. I don't think Cincinnati's running away from anybody. So I said, got another super chat here. I got it from Brian. Brian, I don't think you attached a question, though. Let me just see here. Brian, I just see that you didn't attach a question there. So I can't know when to answer. So I'm sorry about that. But if you had a question, I'd be happy to grab that. But I just don't have one there to answer. All right, let's see here. We're on Bill right now. Bill, TD heavy scoring with yardage. DJ, did I just answer that one? I think maybe I just answered that, didn't I? Yeah, I think I did. I was DJ Moore and I was Jordan Mason on that. And then Ethan, good morning to you as well. I got to go Garrett Wilson here. We know, look, he's been in the league, was his 4th year now, always gets targets, always has a floor. I like Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor's a professional quarterback. He is able to get the ball to his receivers. And they're playing Tampa Bay, and I am not scared at all of the Tampa Bay cornerbacks. Garrett Wilson's proven he could beat about anybody. DeAndre Swift's a nice floor play. Could he fall in the end zone twice? Yes, he could. I don't want to predict that. I don't think that would be reasonable to predict it. So I think Garrett Wilson has a really high PPR floor here. I think in the game against Tampa Bay, they're going to need him and Breece Hall to carry the offense. Whereas Swift, I think the Bears focus on the passing attack here. So I'm gonna give Garrett Wilson the edge there. Anna, Chris Olave, Fannin, Jacoby, Krosky, Merritt, and you need one. So again, you heard me about Krosky, Merritt. I think he carries between the 20s. I do think Chris Rodriguez is the goal line back. I think that you're going to see Jeremy McNichols as the receiving back. So I think that just leaves a lot of between the 20s carries, which is between 20 and 75 or so yards. So I think there's not a lot of upside for Krosky, Merritt. Could anybody fall in the end zone? Yes, that certainly could happen. Fannin and Olave are close. Fannin did see a little fewer targets. The Green Bay matchup, that one worries me a little bit. I think the Green Bay matchup isn't great. I think that the pass rush may be a problem. Now, Fannin could be an outlet. Olave's already proven to have a good floor. He's just going to get a lot of targets. And I think that floor is very useful. Olave hasn't had a big game yet, and I don't know if they'll have one here. I think he's a safe floor play, and I don't know if Fan and I could count on him as a boom yet. So I think Olave would have a better chance of scoring a touchdown, so I would lean with him. Let me check the super chat or see anything else materialize there. No, okay, so I'm still in the same spot I was at. Okay. Okay, and then Joshua's next. Sam Darnold, Mariota, Rogers, Lawrence, Stroud, Penix need one. Oh my gosh. You know what? Stroud has had two tough games. He played the Rams pass rush, which that offensive line, they had no chance. And then they played last week against the Blitz of Tampa Bay. They had no chance. Well, against Jacksonville, he has a chance. I think this is a week that they can really get their offense going. So I do like CJ Stroud. Now, you should give thought to Mariota. Mariota runs. And Mariota had two performances last year, week 18 coming in for Jaden Daniels, and week 4 maybe against Carolina. Too bad defense. He came in and he put up well for fantasy. And again, it's another easy matchup for the young quarterback, Marcus Mariota, playing Las Vegas, coming off a short week. They played Monday night late. So these are advantages. But I have to think CJ Stroud is a little bit safer because, I mean, look, Mariota's Mariota. Could he keep doing what he did? Yes. But do we want to bet on that? And that's where my question comes in. Darnold, I think they run the ball a lot here. So I would go with Penix in this one. Joshua, need two. Connor, Pearsall, Abuka. With Jennings out, I think Pearsall now sees a little bump in targets. Connor doesn't have a lot of upside here against the 49ers, but I do think his floor is really good. And Abuka's not 100%. And it's probably a risk you don't need to take here. So just going to go Connor, Pearsall, and don't take the risk on Abuka. Last week it was 4 targets, right? So I mean, he like took that Jalen McMillan role on. He's scoring touchdowns, but those, can they keep going? Yeah, but I mean, the targets aren't high and the yardage hasn't been great, so he's hurt. So I think we just kind of move him out and say, okay, let's not risk it in week 3. Harlan, morning to you as well. Half PPR flex from Connor, Debo, Keenan Allen, or Ramondre Stevenson. Oh wow, you need one and a flex. So Debo's been great, and I think Debo's going to have to continue to be used here. I think he's a very functional part of that offense against the Raiders. Little Max Crosby with some pass rush. I think getting the ball out quickly for Mariota is going to be important, and Debo's a very established role here. So he's a catch and run guy. So I think you keep him in here. And so of the remaining ones, Stevenson has the best matchup. Connor has a much tougher matchup. Stevenson, you never know if they're going to pull the rug out on work. He's about half the snaps. And I know Connor hasn't played a ton more, but Connor's role is stable. So I'll put it this way. If you wanted the safest floor play, Connor, if you need to swing for upside, then you could take your shot on Stevenson. But again, Stevenson has been a very inconsistent player, regardless of matchup throughout his career. So he's risky. All right. And then Jack Conklin out, Tucker Kraft active, Abuka active, early inactive reports. Oh, and some of those will be coming through. I can check on some of those in a little bit. All right. Andy, you got good morning to you as well. Full PPR, JMO or Krosky Merritt. So this is a case of floor ceiling. Jameson Williams was shut out for 38 minutes. The Bears got cornerbacks injured last week, and then they didn't have a pass rush, and then Williams got 2 long catches, and all of a sudden he cashes for fantasy. Krosky Merritt's a floor play. My guess is if you're going to ask me how many yards he gets, about 60 yards, or maybe he gets 1 catch. I think the touchdown probably is 20%. I think it's low, but Jameson Williams is your ceiling play. And if they're able to scheme up a play, get him into space, yeah, he could take some. But I think overall, Baltimore is going to provide a tougher matchup that you're going to kind of impact that interior offensive line of the Lions. That's a bit of a problem. So Williams, your boom bust play. But if you want some safe points, take Krosky Merritt. But if you really want, if you want upside here, JMO always could break you that 80-yard touchdown. It wouldn't matter. But the volume is a little bit scary there. But he has a big upside. So that's your choice is floor or upside. And that's why I would tell you for that. Intrepid, half PPR flex, Fannin or Troy Franklin. Franklin saw his snap share go way up. He was involved both weeks. And so it's gonna be really difficult because now it's like, he had that college connection with Bo Nix. You could see him growing as a second-year breakout. Fannin super involved, catching short passes. I don't know how many points the Browns score here. I think Denver and the Chargers could have a higher scoring game. That's why I would give Franklin the slight edge. J Red in the PPR, you need a wide receiver and two flexes. You got Pearsall in because of Jennings out, Quentin Johnson, Io Manor, Connor, Jalen Warren, Jawan Johnson. If Kraft does play, so you have Kraft too. So if you have Kraft, so you have Kraft, we want him in. We already have Ricky Pearsall in. I think Jalen Warren is a very strong play here. I think the matchup against New England is not problematic. I think they're seeing they need to get him more involved. They can't trust Kenny Gainwell, and obviously Caleb Johnson. I bet you he's inactive. I don't know that for sure, but they brought up another running back yesterday, so weird there. Left guard Brandon Coleman from the Commanders, healthy scratch. That's weird. He played great last year. I don't know what the issue there is. All right. So anyway, back to this question. I would tend to go Pearsall, Warren, and Kraft. If you don't have Kraft, I don't know what that if Kraft does play means. If you don't have him, and I love James Conner, but I probably would say Juwan Johnson for floor, but then I would say Conner for boom bust. If you want, because Conner, look, he's a great running back, but he's had floor performances, but never discount that James Conner could have a big game at any time. Jay Mayfield. So I got Mayfield as a quarterback 6 with downside. Xavier Legette is out today, hamstring injury. Not that you were starting him, but that definitely opens up some more targets for top 2 receivers. So we'll see how that shakes out. All right, Mayfield. So let's see what we got here. I got Drake May as my quarterback 13. The Pittsburgh pass rush is still real. Now Joey Porter's out the corner. That certainly helps. I think they're going to be able to run the ball. I think it's a lower scoring game, though. Obviously, Mayfield and the Jets may be a lower scoring game, too. I think they both will run the ball. I tend to give Baker Mayfield a little bit of an edge here, though, because I do think Mayfield somehow always finds a way to get it done. Weird, but he does. And it sounds like a dumb narrative, but he really has gotten it done. So you got to play him. Scott, good morning to you as well. Standard scoring, Sutton or Franklin? Oh, man. And thank you for the kind words. So here's the thing. Franklin was more involved in week 2. Sutton had the 6 for 60 and a touchdown. There could be a change. There could be a change where they're both heavily involved. I still have to think that Sutton is going to be a big part of what they do. They just paid him. And I know Franklin's like an emerging player. I think I would tend to go with Sutton, knowing that he has been doing this with Bo Nix for over a season now. And last week was a down week. So that worries us. And Franklin had the game last week. But I think that Sutton, even though Franklin scored, Sutton can get right back in the end zone. I think you got to go with it for now. We need a few more weeks to frame it out as to whether Franklin is a reliable week to week. But we know Sutton, they will go back to him. They can't ignore him. He's too much of an important part of what they do. Delroy, start 2, flex spot, Pittman, ETN, Tillman, Stevenson, Hopkins. So the 2 I like best, I like ETN and I like Stevenson. That Stevenson match Pittsburgh is just, they are not playing the run well. They're banged up on defense. ETN has been great, and he's going to continue to see the amount of work he's seeing. 13-ish carries, 3-ish targets, but I think the Liam Cohen scheming of that screen game and the run game is going to get better as the weeks go on. Pittman's close. Pittman is close, but I think the floor of Stevenson and ETN is better. Don't like Tillman's matchup. Hopkins has been touchdown dependent, and it's just been weird, but the snap share is low, the target share is low, so I would not put him in. Delroy, half PPR, Prescott or Caleb Williams? Well, I got Prescott as my quarterback, 2. Josh Allen's on the list because he obviously played already, and I have Caleb as my quarterback, 5. Williams will run more. Prescott has an amazing Bears are down 3 of their top 5 corners. I flip a coin, honestly. I have Prescott ranked higher. So if it's my lineup, I'm probably going with Prescott because there's more likely safety. There's more safety. But Williams has been great through 2 weeks, 21 and a 25 maybe fantasy point games. So he's been great. But again, you can't go wrong here. You really can't go wrong here. Vinny, good morning. Abuka, Hollywood, Ridley, Ferguson, or Devontae Smith. You know, it would be nice to get Ridley going in this one. Now I know top corner for Indy is off the concussion now, so it could be another. But Ridley's going to get it done. Ridley's eventually going to get it done, um, and he's getting targets. Ibuka's hurt. Hollywood is too hard to know what his actual role is going to be week to week. They're very problematic. Ferguson, we love Ferguson, but against receivers, it could be, we could see the Lamb and Pickens show, but Ferguson's been great for PPR the last 2 weeks. But when we think it through, does Ferguson have a better floor than all of them? He might have the best floor of this group. So here's what I'd say. The highest floor probably is Ferguson right now because Dallas is probably going to be in a shootout here. But I think Ridley would be the player that could finally get on track this week. He's had a couple brutal matchups to start the season. So I would probably give Ridley the edge here for upside, but the safe play would probably be Ferguson here. Dak loves his tight end, always has. Thierry, Genty or Mason? Wow. So I have where I have Genty at. See where I've got. I got Genty's my 19 with downside. I got Mason as my 16. Look, I think Mason's in a healthier situation right now, and I think with Darisaw back at left tackle, I think it's a big deal. So I think that running gives him even better, and I think they're going to lean on that against Cincinnati quite a bit. And Cincinnati's a great matchup. I'm giving Mason the edge here. I think the volume's about even. I don't think Genty has a volume edge here. Dave, what do you got here, Dave? Pick one. Ibuka, Dobbs, Tillman, Io Manor. Dubs may see quite a bit of Denzel Ward. I don't necessarily like that. Tillman is going to have the problem of being an intermediate and downfield guy with the Green Bay pass rush with Flacco. That's going to be a problem. Io Manor, I wasn't excited about his matchup against Indy, but it's not the worst either. Ibuka's nicked up. So Ibuka he's risky, but he's the best play. But if you don't want to take the risk that maybe he has a setback, then actually Io Manor would be the way I would go, because I do think that there's going to be some scoring here. And I think Cam Ward's going to have to throw some. Now, I'm worried that J.C. Latham, the tackle's out, and Leatu Latu, the edge rusher for Indy, is back. That worries me a little bit. But Io Manor's been targeted. So I think I give, again, Ibuka, if you're willing to take the risk that he's healthy through the game. Otherwise, I go Io Manor. Carlos, Higgins or Pearsall? Yeah, that's a tough one here, right? Because Jake Browning's gonna be a lot of quick game. They definitely don't want him behind that offensive line, having to hold the ball, so the downfield stuff won't materialize. Pearsall's facing no Juwan Jennings, and Pearsall's facing a defense that's missing two of their top three corners, and their third corner's nicked up. So I give Pearsall the edge there. Michael, you got flex Ted McMillan or Pearsall, both high floor plays here. When we got the news of the Jennings injury, then I think that probably moves Pearsall up, because Mac Jones doesn't worry me. Mac Jones runs this offense, and Arizona has not had much of a pass rush, and they really are beat up in the secondary. So, yeah, I give him the edge here. Ted McMillan is obviously a great play every week for a floor. He's been wonderful. Last week, he was able to eat when all those same aforementioned Arizona corners went down. All three went down in that game, and that's where the garbage time came from. But that first week, it was like 11 PPR points. So, yeah, I give Pearsall the edge here. Maybe Ted has a safer floor, but I don't know if that's that much higher, because the Juwan Jennings being out, I think that's a big deal. Paul, you got Caleb or Drake? I like Caleb easily. I think Ben Johnson fixes the offense this week. Dallas has no resistance. Caleb's had two bad matchups. And I don't think from a passing game perspective, this is a great matchup for Drake May. The run game is a great matchup. On a Kraft or Johnson. Oh, that's a tough one, right? I got him. You see my rankings. I got Juwan 5 and Kraft 6. Now I put 6. I put Kraft 6 because the volume isn't always. He had 4 targets in week 1. He did get 7 last week and went off with that. But Juwan Johnson's had like a really, really high target floor. And so that's an important thing. And Seattle's going to send all these funky looks in the simulated pass rush game. So I think that's going to necessitate Rattler getting the ball out quick. So I think Juwan Johnson has a higher floor. I think Kraft has a bigger ceiling, because I think scoring a touchdown, I think he's more likely to score a point, because the Packers probably score significantly more points than the Saints score. So Kraft is your upside play. Juwan Johnson's your floor play. Given the two, when I think I have them side by side in the rankings, like I said, he's healthy. So I probably, is my lineup, I probably think I feel more comfortable with Kraft in there, even though I rostered Juwan Johnson all over the place. But it's kind of hard to sit Tucker Kraft after last week. All right, and the next one we got here. Hey to you as well. Sarah Densmore. There we go. Full PPR. Jalen Warren or Chuba Hubbard. So this one would have been tougher last week, but Chuba Hubbard is down his center and his right guard. And I think that makes a difference. And I know he catches the ball some too. Jalen Warren, the coach got him a little more involved last week. The talk is that he's doing really well. They want to make him a bigger part of it. And I think that happens here. I think Jalen Warren is a bigger part of what they want to do. I ranked him against New England as my running back 22. I don't see it as a tough matchup. I have Hubbard as my running back 15, but when I look at the matchup and the more I think it through, I think Warren's going to catch some passes here. The rankings, when I have them there, sometimes they're closer than they look. It looks like it's vastly different. But those two line injuries, they do worry me for Hubbard. And I don't know how much garbage time there is. And if there's not, then maybe Atlanta's able to stuff up the middle of the line and Hubbard has a hard time getting going. So my rankings are one way, but if it's my lineup with the PPR, right? Yeah, with full PPR, I think I got to give Warren. I think I feel safer if I go with Jalen Warren. Okay. Kavan, ETN or Hampton. I got to go to ETN here. It's real. That run system is real. He fits it. ETN fits it really well. Hampton, it's just not. They're passing. They're passing way more than they're running, and so I think that's a thing. So ETN's going to be more involved, and the big plays are there, and that's a function of the offense they're running. So I'm going to go to ETN. And then Kevin, you need two running backs, half PPR: Pollard, Mason, Monty, Warren. This Mason for sure. You heard me talk about him quite a bit. Pollard and Warren are close. I got him 21 and 22. And you are half PPR. So in half PPR, now I'm going to default to Pollard because the full PPR, I'm going to give Warren the edge. But I think that the half PPR, I think Pollard, I think has a better chance of scoring a touchdown. Monty, great player, but against Baltimore, I think I put him fourth on this list, and I have him as my running back 25. All right. Z in a super flex half PPR league deciding between Mariota and Rodgers. Again, Mariota took over in week 4 last year, maybe against Carolina. He did really well. He took over in week 18 against Dallas. He did really well. Has another easy matchup. He runs. He seems to understand the offense. He has Deebo Samuel as well. Aaron Rodgers has opportunity here, but I don't know how many points are scored in this game. And so I think sometimes we look at it and they're like, all right, Rodgers isn't going to run at all. And I think Mariota has a chance of scoring a rushing touchdown. So I think we got to go with Mariota here. And with my rankings, I got Mariota at 22 and I got Rodgers at 27. And in my mind, I feel comfortable with that. 76 trombone, Higgins, DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley. You heard me talk earlier. I think the Bears fix their offense. Slot corner down for Dallas, or Trevon Diggs downgraded on the injury report yesterday with a knee. No pass rush. I think the Bears fix it up today. DJ Moore is only getting about 10 PPR points a game, but I think this is the game he could go off. Higgins is going to be they got to throw short with Jake Brown. Got to get out quick. And I think that takes away some of Higgins' appeal. Ridley, again, not a terrible matchup, but Cam Moore might be under a little bit of pressure. His right tackle's out. I'm going to give Moore the edge there. Let's see where we're at here. Let me check some inactives real quick here. Let me just real quick check for everybody and see. I think I'm getting some notifications up here as we're going. Nothing new for the Rams. I told you later Xavier Lee gets out. I hope you weren't starting him. Damian Pierce inactive again for Houston. That speaks volumes. People were excited about him. But Woody Marks is the clear number 2 in that backfield. Charvarius Ward, there for the Colts, is active. That's a little bit more difficult for Ridley, but Ridley can still get some volume. Nothing interesting on the Raiders side. Raheem Mostert inactive. The Steelers did activate defensive tackle Derek Harmon, the rookie. Not that we know what he is yet, but hopefully that helps him a little bit. Nothing interesting from the Eagles other than we knew Will Shipley was going to be inactive. We knew Ibuka's playing, but they're going to monitor him to see how he can make it through the game. We already knew Atlanta's without their top corner, A.J. Terrell. The Browns are without their right tackle, Jack Conklin, which is not ideal when you are playing against Micah Parsons and the Green Bay Packers. We already knew the Bengals without Cam Taylor-Britt, and I really believe that Justin Jefferson will get pounded with targets from Carson Wentz, and with no Taylor-Britt. You're starting Jefferson anyway, but I think you're happier about that. Tennessee down right guard Kevin Zeitler. That's a fairly big deal. And while the right side of their line is backups, that is not good. That is not good for Tennessee. Don't like seeing that. And I don't think there's anything new. Christian Gonzalez, the corner for New England, we knew he'd be out. That's a big boost to DK Metcalf. and we knew Tucker Kraft would be active, and we knew Christian Darrisaw would be active. I think that catches us up. We knew Justin Fields was out, Jermaine Johnson, the edge is out. We told you earlier, Juwan Jennings won't play this afternoon. Yeah, I think we are caught up on those. So good deal there. James Koh will come in at 11:15 or so, maybe a little earlier. We'll just reset those, and then James will pick up for me. But I got plenty of. Got another super chat question here. Let me just see where I'm at here, and we've got Fabian, and Fabian asks Omarion Hampton or Quinshon Judkins. And I'm going with Judkins here. They're starting him. He looks like he's going to be a star. He's going to run, get a pass catch. I think he's going to play a lot of snaps here. Green Bay, better against the pass and the run. Hampton, it just isn't going yet. They got to figure some things out. Najee Harris was heavily involved. And then Fabian also has Ibuka, Quentin Johnson, or Hollywood Brown. So what I'd say is this: I'm a little nervous about Ibuka's injury, and they're playing the Jets, not an easy matchup. So if you want the floor play, I think Hollywood Brown can get you 4 to 6 catches and maybe more. Right? 4 to 6 catches should be okay. Don't know how high the yardage is, but again, he could break something. So Hollywood Brown's a fun play. Quentin Johnson's pure upside. They're playing Denver. I think this is a tougher matchup for him. I think Denver profiles well against downfield receivers. So there's that. So I think Hollywood Brown's your safe play, but Quentin Johnson's your boom bust. And you said with Jennings out, you should go at Mac Jones, Geno, and Stafford. I would play Stafford. You notice I have Stafford ranked 12, and I don't rank him high. But here's the thing. With Davante Adams, every week he's in there, they're going to be impossible to stop in the air because it used to be like Puka kills zone, but they had nobody to beat man. They could not beat man defense regularly. And now they got Adams. So they can, if you play zone or man, they've got you. And so, no, I like that. So, yeah. So, Fabian, that's the way we're going to go with that one. All right. And then, oh, no, I wasn't Fabian. I got the name wrong because it popped off the screen on me. So I'm sorry, but that was a great question. Thank you for doing the super chat. The name popped off on me and new name showed up on the screen for me. All right, next one we got I don't know what that name is, but welcome. Glad you're here. Good morning to you as well. And I am doing great. Thank you for asking. Abuka, questionable for flex about Trey Henderson, Tillman, or Benson. On this one, I'm going to, first time all day, I'm going to say Abuka. Tillman, I worry that pass rush from Green Bay is Joe Flacco is going to be a little bit of trouble here. Tillman's the intermediate downfield guy. Benson is going to play that rotation role, but 49ers are playing really, really well defensively. Robert Saleh is really cooking with gas. And the 49ers, like their recent draft picks, they're playing defense well. So that's a little bit worrisome. Travion Henderson, look, he split backup snaps with Antonio Gibson last week, so I can't trust him right now. So, yeah, and appreciate the kind words. But, yeah, I'm going to go to Buka there. Delroy, you got half PPR, McLaurin or Tillman. I am going with McLaurin here. I know that you got Mariota quarterback, but you just heard me say about Tillman. I just think I love Tillman. He's one of my favorites, but with Green Bay playing them and the pass rush, I just think that they're going to try to run as much as they can. I think it's going to be get the ball out quickly. And Tillman is like in the short game, he's the fourth option. In the intermediate and downfield, he's the top option. But I don't think they get that going here. Grateful one, you know what? And here we're going to go back. Ridley and Charvarius Ward's playing at corner, but I think Ridley's going to get some volume here, and Ridley's a good player, and Abuka's hurt, and I think we're going to take our chance there because you can't risk if Abuka gets a setback in the middle of this game. It's a risk you don't want to take. You have a good option in Ridley, and Ridley had 2 brutal matchups. I think he gets it going here. Adam, PPR flex, Devontae Smith or Keenan Allen? Well, it's a great question. Keenan Allen's getting volume, and as long as he's healthy, we know Justin Herbert loves him. He's safer. He is definitely safer than Devontae Smith, and Keenan Allen has shown upside as well. My rankings are going to reflect Devontae Smith because he's Devontae Smith, but Devontae Smith is probably going to be way up there, seeing where he's actually at. But it's going to take me a while to find that anyway. But I have Keenan Allen at 37, but I recognize that Keenan Allen is a big part of this offense. Now, do I like he's playing Denver? No, but he does know how to get open. So I think he's a safe play. But you know what? I don't think there's a ceiling game for Keenan Allen. I think Denver could do enough to limit him. So I'm going to say safe floor play would be Keenan Allen, but I think your ceiling play would be going the other way with Devontae Smith in the hopes that Philly finally decides to open up the passing game, which I can't prove they will. So probably the safe play Allen's way to go. Got another super chat from John Moorhead here. You got Higgins, Abuka, or Devontae Smith, half PPR. So of these, I said earlier, I think it's going to be a lot of quick game with Jake Browning. So I think Higgins is going to get plenty of short catches, and he could do something with that. I think he's the safest of the three, and I think they all have very similar floor ceiling combos. I think Higgins gets the most targets here. Abuka or Jamison Williams. Um, I think I'm going to default you to JMO here. You heard me say earlier, I'm worried about the Ravens compromising that interior line for the Lions. But I think, again, with Abuka limited, it's going to be hard to sit Jamison Williams here because even if he gets 3-4 targets, he could turn one into a massive play. Abuka could leave the game early. I think it's a risk you don't need to take because you have a very, very good option in his place. And we got next one, CM Goon. Hunter Henry, Dallas Goedert, David Njoku, half point. Hunter Henry has been pretty much like a lot of 50 yardage games at the middle of last season and then week one. And then all of a sudden last week, we saw that pest Austin Hooper, which he was a pest last year too, but he's a legitimate pest. And it's hard to know now. It's always Henry's upside gets so capped by that. Njoku has the safest path to targets here. The pass rush of the Packers is going to be a problem for Flacco. He's going to have to dump the ball off. Both tight ends are involved. I think Njoku's your safe play. I think Goddard is your boom bust play because Goddard does have a tactical advantage against the Rams, and especially that intermediate game where they don't like to throw downfield. If they keep that way, Goddard has the upside. So your upside play is Goddard, but a high floor is David Njoku. If you want the safe play, that's the way you're going to want to roll with that. But Goddard's definitely in play as your upside choice. Adam A. Let's see. PPR. Brian Thomas, Myers, Sutton, DJ Moore, pick 2. It's really hard to not tell people Brian Thomas Jr., but the production hasn't been there, but the targets have, and that's what scares us, right? Because if they figure it out, but this is not a good matchup for Brian Thomas Jr. And I'm very concerned with Trevor Lawrence. He does not make good decisions, and he's going to be under some pressure today. That's when he's at his worst. But to tell you to sit Brian Thomas Jr., that's a hard one to tell you. Of the remaining ones, Myers has the highest floor of the group. He commonly gets 9 and 10 targets. That's a very high floor he has. Nothing scary about his matchup. DJ Moore, like I said, I expect the Bears to fix their offense today. They have an easy matchup. Finally, I think Ben Johnson needs to get his quarterback confidence. I think he needs to get that all going, and he does. So Moore is your upside boom bust play, but I think there's a lot of boom to that one. But I think I can't with a reasonable conscience tell you to sit Brian Thomas Jr., even though he has a rougher matchup and he's had 2 bad games. The volume is king in fantasy football, and he's getting that. And you'd kick yourself if he ended up getting a 2-touchdown game. So it's that way, unfortunately. Wish I had a better answer. Just like here, I'm caught up on Julian. I got a super chat from Julian. Julian, you got Myers, Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, Devontae Smith, Marvin Mims. You're going to pick 3. Myers, I think his floor ceiling combo is excellent. I think Mike Evans, and look, people are asking about Sauce Gardner. Mike Evans is 6'5", 231. That it's irrelevant. Mike Evans is going to win how Mike Evans wins, so I think you trust him as you normally would. So Myers and Evans, and then your third one, you got Keenan Allen, Devontae Smith, Marvin Mims. Now Marvin Mims has really been like relegated to Troy Franklin as a third. The snap share is too low to trust him. I think Keenan Allen. So you have Myers, you have Mike Evans. Keenan Allen is your high floor play. And I think you're going to trust him over Devontae Smith right now because it's really been a problem. Could Smith have a big game? Yes. But there's nothing to substantiate that. So I think Keenan Allen's your third player. So Julian, super chat, again, thank you. It's going to be Myers, Allen, and Mike Evans for you. All right. Let's go back here. And we have Drake, London, or Sutton. Like I said earlier for someone, the thing that you need to understand with Drake London was that last week, it was very clear that Minnesota's defense caused the Atlanta coaches to have to say, we don't want Michael Penix to deal with that pressure. So they ran, and they had a lead. And also London was banged up. It's better this week. But he had 15 targets in week 1, and he has been very heavily targeted with this quarterback, Michael Penix. So Drake London's floor is incredible. Last week, again, it was a weird game. I don't see that happening against Carolina, and I'm not worried about J.C. Horn at all. So that's what I'm going to recommend. I'm going to recommend that you go with Drake London and don't worry twice. All right, let's see. Looks like my thing bounced off here. I got to find where my questions were at here. This thing really bounced off. Now I'm going to find where we're at. All right, let's see. I answered that one. All right, I think I'm on Brian. Caleb Williams or Drake. Did I answer that one? No, I don't think I did. I don't think we're going Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is in a great spot this week. No reason to think why the Bears won't be able to take advantage of a bad Dallas defense. Ricardo, Flex, or Sid Jennings is out today. Hollywood or Krosky Merritt. If you're full PPR, it's Hollywood Brown. If you're half PPR or standard, it's going to be Krosky Merritt for volume. Jack, pick 2. Evans, Abuka, Tet McMillan, and Ridley. I think, again, you just heard me say I'm not really 6'5", 231. I'm not worried about Sauce Gardner if he's on him half the time or more. I'm going to go Mike Evans. And I really think Tet McMillan is your play here because his floor has been phenomenal. No Xavier Lee gets that. Maybe more targets go McMillan's way. Like Ridley, but I think Evans and Tet are the way to go here. And Delroy, full PPR, pick 1. Russell Wilson, Joe Flacco, and Marcus Mariota. I think you got to go with Marcus Mariota here. He runs, and I think that's a big difference. Russell Wilson, the Chiefs are desperate for a win at 0-2. C. Spagnuolo is definitely going to make sure that Russell Wilson has some funky looks that he's not ready for, and he's going to make some mistakes. And I don't think it's a high-scoring game. So I don't think he's in shootout mode. Flacco's playing a pass rush that he's probably not going to be able to get much done here. Love Flacco. I think in my mind, you got to go Mariota there. Brian Stevenson or Hubbard? Very close. I have Hubbard ranked higher significantly. Hubbard is down 2 offensive linemen, but you know what? Hubbard has a really, really high snap share. So I think you trust him more because his role is more stable than Stevenson, who's been playing about half the snaps and doing well. But I think the volatility in Stevenson's game, even though he's an easy matchup, makes it a problem. James Koh is in the house. James Koh, how are you today?
I'm doing great, man. How are you? Good to see you this morning.
Got my earbud on now, so I can actually. All right,
what's up,
let me
brother?
take
How
my.
you doing?
Oh, it's good to see you. It's week 3 already, James. Where is the season going?
I know. I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm excited to be here. Hopefully I can help the people get their lineup set, man. But yeah, it's a pivotal week 3. I mean, shoot, if you're like me in a couple leagues, you're desperate for a win. You're 0 and you started 0-2. You drafted AJ Brown and Brian Thomas Jr. as your starting 1-2 wide receiver combo. You're thinking, all right, I'm looking pretty good. I got 2 beasts at the wide receiver. Now you're 0-2. That's like your boy over here.
James, before we get in a few questions, some people are asking Houston Texans questions. They're playing Jacksonville. They had 2 really bad matchups start season. They played the Rams with a great pass rush. They played the Bucs who blitz a lot. Is this a better landing spot for CJ Stroud, Nico Collins, and company?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I don't think there's any question. Jacksonville's defense is improved, just mostly because their offense is actually improved. It's funny how one hand washes the other. The offense is a little bit improved, so thus they've got a little bit more sustained drives. The defense isn't giving up as many points. They're not on the field quite as much. Anyways, regardless, it's still, I think, overall a good matchup for the Texans. We'll see if the Jacksonville Jaguars can generate a little pass rush here, but I do think that the Texans should be able to bounce back. As you mentioned, just a really tough start, I think, to start their season, but hopefully they'll be able to stabilize here in the coming weeks.
James, getting a lot of Emeka Ibuka questions. He's going to play today, but Adam Schefter reports that they may monitor him throughout the game, so it's clear he's a little bit limited here as to whether he's going to be able to play full complement of snaps. Overall, what's your outlook on Ibuka for this one?
I don't know how you get away from him. He seems to be getting a lot of high leverage targets, which is all you really want, even if he plays 60% of the snaps, but he's getting goal line looks. Again, that's all you can ask for, and when you look at the offense overall, they really don't have too many other places to go. I know Sterling Shepard has made a little bit of a bounce back here, as he seems to do every single year. He has a nice few stretch of games. But again, it's clearly Mike Evans, Emeka Ibuka, 1-2 right there in Tampa Bay.
49ers, no Jawan Jennings. They're playing an Arizona team down their slot corner. One of their outside corners, Max Melton, is banged up on the other side. Left last week's game. He's supposed to play here. Ricky Pearsall, thoughts on him in this matchup? Mac Jones, a quarterback.
I don't know how you don't start, Ricky Pearsall. How does this guy not see it? A minimum of 8 targets. I think he'll see 10. There's really not too many other options. I'm actually curious to see where the San Francisco 49ers go at wide receiver. They're very thin, very, very thin. So I would imagine Pearsall, who, by the way, is a great separator. great separator. I do think that he's going to get a lot of work. I think Jake Tonjes all of a sudden becomes a little bit more of a viable deep sleeper. For those of you playing in DFS, Tonjes is going to be, I mean, dirt cheap in DFS format. So he's a name that I'm keeping an eye on.
Because James is the sleeper king. Yes, sir. He called out a big one there in Jake. So one more I want to ask you before we get to a couple of questions. So the Jets will play Tyrod Taylor in this one. They'll Breece Hall in the fold and Garrett Wilson. What do you see as their outlooks against Tampa Bay in this one with Taylor under center?
Tampa Bay has a very tricky defense. Obviously, it's led by Todd Bowles. They're going to try to mask their coverages and their blitzes. And I think if you have an inexperienced quarterback, I do think that's going to impact you a little bit more than if you've got a guy under center who's been around the block a little bit. So Tyrod Taylor obviously has a ton of experience. I just look, Jim, I think that Tampa Bay does a good job of masking coverages and blitzes, but I don't think they have the personnel to, if you can see the blitzes and coverages coming, I don't think they have the personnel to really make a big impact defensively. So ironically, I actually think the Jets are in a really good spot against Tampa Bay. I'm not worried about Garrett Wilson. Maybe they do their best to try to sort of lock him up, but dang, he's such a good player. And again, we talk about volume and target share and all that. He's got to, again, he's another player that's got to see 8 to 9 targets in this ball game.
Got a super chat question here. Fabian's asking us, with Juwan Jennings out, is Christian Kirk startable? Why don't you go with that one?
Christian Kirk, is he startable? I don't know. It really depends on what the deployment is here. There for Houston, like how many of these guys are they going to roll out there? I thought it was going to be a lot more concentrated than it was. Seemingly last week, they want to play a lot of different guys, a lot of different snaps. Nico Collins is kind of sort of the only guy that I'm really trusting in that Houston wide receiver room. Although Christian Kirk, I think he's a crafty veteran. Maybe they lean on the veteran just a little bit more, especially in 2 wide receiver sets, which they seem to be going to a lot more in Houston. So that's kind of sort of what I'm looking at with Christian Kirk. I don't know. Is he startable? It really depends on the format. You've got Booty, Wick. Oh, see, look, I'm playing Dontavian Wicks. Of that group, I'm actually playing Dontavian. I think he plays it. Obviously, he's their starting slot receiver. Green Bay's offense is doing pretty well. The matchup isn't great. I do think it might be a little bit of a lower scoring game. But I also think that Dontavian Wicks has some outside-inside versatility, like 35% outside snap share through 2 games here for Green Bay and Dontavian Wicks. I think he has the ability to play outside as well. So I think he can be there in 2 wide receiver sets too. If I'm picking anyone of that group, I think it's probably Dontavian Wicks.
And the one last thing I'll say about Kirk, the good news for Kirk is this: his hamstring injury was at the very end of the preseason. So at least he had a training camp with Stroud. He did have reps. So that's at least the good news going forward, that at least maybe this week they don't get it ramped up, but it may not take long because at least the injury was at an opportune time. So there's that. Right. James, let's do one more and we'll get you into the stream and I'll get out of here. Prince of Picks, Arizona defense. They are playing the 49ers. Indianapolis defense. They are playing the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee and at San Francisco, both road games.
I think for me, it's pretty clear. Like, I would much rather have Indianapolis. Tennessee right now, I think, is still trying to figure themselves out offensively. I like the upside of Cam Ward, but again, I think he's playing a lot of backyard football right now, and that does tend to lead to a lot of sacks and a lot of interceptions. So I think pretty clearly for me, anyways. I don't know how you feel about this, Jim, but for me, anyways, I lean on Indianapolis right there.
Big deal here. Leatu Latu's back. He was out last week. The right side of the line is backups. Guards Kevin Zeitler's out. J.C. Latham's out. That's a massive deal. And Charvarius Ward, who had a concussion, he's back at corner. So, yes, this makes it a much better situation for Indianapolis. James Koh, go get him. Good luck in week 3. Have a great show.
Let's go. All right, will do. Hey, listen. Jim, the great Jim Coventry there. We're doing a little handoff here as we hurdle into the early window. We've got about 50 minutes before kickoff here, so I'm going to try to get to as many questions as possible here. All right, let's go to David Pillsbury. You've got Hollywood Brown. Should you also start Pacheco? I like the Pacheco upside. Hollywood Brown's a very interesting one, and I do think that he's going to get a lot of work. Pacheco over ETN? No. Pacheco over Chase Brown? Absolutely not. So no, again, if you got ETN and Chase Brown, I think I'm starting both of those guys over Isaiah Pacheco. Pacheco's in a really great spot against the Giants. But I think he falls into the deep sleeper category. Although I will say this about Pacheco. 48% snap share there in week number 1, 60% snap share in week number 2. I think if he sees another 60, 65% of the snaps, I think he will really come through for folks in PPR. That being said, if he doesn't get it done, just keep an eye on the rookie out of SMU in Brashard Smith. I do wonder if KC's like, you know what, let's just get a little bit more athleticism out there. And this guy ran a sub 4.4. This is from Benjamin, Flex, Josh Downs, Calvin Austin, Hunter Renfrow, Golden. I am intrigued by the last, well, I like Downs too, but I will say I think I'm more intrigued by Hunter Renfrow. Xavier Legette is out. Matthew Golden obviously becomes a really interesting player. I think he will be primarily out there in 2 wide receiver sets. Where is Tucker Kraft's injury status right now? The funny thing is, of this group, I actually trust Hunter Renfrow the most. I think he's, again, going to be utilized heavily in the slot, just like he was last week. Now, he didn't get much production until the later stages of that game. But if we're looking, if Carolina is down 2 offensive linemen and they need to get the ball out quick, doesn't it seem like Hunter Renfrow could get a lot of work in this one? A lot of check down, a lot of quick slants, quick out routes, maybe some bubble screens, cheap PPR points. I like Hunter Renfrow in this ball game. Jay Red, what's going on, man? You've got Kraft as your tight end. Do you start Connor or Juwan Jennings as a flex for PPR? I'm assuming you mean James Conner, right? And again, just a PSA for everyone out there. If y'all want to help me help y'all, full names go a long way. Full names go a long way, just because I'm not having to sit here and wondering, who are we exactly talking about? Do you start Connor or Juwan Johnson in the flex as a PPR? I probably look, Connor's got to be a more stable floor than Juwan Johnson. I know Juwan Johnson has really come through, especially in PPR formats the last couple of weeks here, which is great. But I would say that I think Connor, just because of the running back spot, probably offers a little bit safer floor. But because he's locked into a little bit of a timeshare there with Cherry Benson, I think the ceiling is capped. But still, though, I'm still trusting James Conner a little bit more than Juwan Johnson. Now, that being said, if you want a little bit more upside, yeah, for sure, let's go with Juwan Johnson. I will say this, Seattle right now, in terms of fantasy points allowed to the tight end position, they're second to last. They're second to last right now, right? So George Kittle got him for a 12 and a half spot in week 1. Jake Tonjes, the aforementioned Tonjes, also got him for a touchdown too. So they gave up 2 touchdowns there in week number 1. They stabilized there in week number 2 against Pittsburgh, but Seattle has given up quite a bit of production to the tight end spot through 2 weeks. So if you want a little bit more upside, if you're chasing that touchdown upside, for me, I think it is Juwan Johnson. So, floor, Connor, upside, Juwan Johnson, I think, is probably the way to go. All right, big fella, what's going on? Full PPR, Sutton or Olave? I'm going to Olave here. Too much volume. We're talking double digits. Again, this could be, I actually think it's a sneaky little potential, high-scoring game here that they've got between Seattle and New Orleans. I really like Olave just because, again, I think he's going to see anywhere between 8 to 10 targets in that ball game. Justin Washington, Kyler or Caleb? You know what? I kind of sort of like Caleb in this matchup. To be honest with you, Chicago taking on Dallas. Dallas has a lot of trouble on the back end. I mean, shoot, Dallas just gave up 450 yards to Russell Wilson, y'all. Russell Wilson. I think the pass catchers there in Chicago strong as well. Kyler, I think, is still trying to figure out how to work Marvin Harrison Jr. into his equation. And can I say this too? Kyler is. It's not a lock. It used to be a lock that Kyler was going to give you a bunch of rushing yards. That's just not the case nowadays, right? And Kyler without the rushing yards becomes, he's just a normal pocket passer guy. I don't know. I like Caleb. I do. I know he's been playing really, really up and down, but he does have 4 touchdowns in 2 games. The production has been there, even though the play has not been as consistent as we would like. So yeah, taking on a Dallas defense that just gave up a huge number last week. I think, again, I really like Caleb as a streaming spot start here at the quarterback position. Joseph Zach, I don't think we got to this question here. Pitts or Ertz? You're torn with Daniels out. Kyle, I don't think there's any question, right? Kyle Pitts. And Joseph, let me know if what am I missing here? Kyle Pitts has been performing, no? So I'm gonna say Kyle Pitts with some confidence here. They are using him. I don't know if you guys know this, but Atlanta's actually, I think, one of the top 2, maybe the top 12 personnel team in the league. Not because they're going heavy personnel, but because they're using Pitts as an outside wide receiver. They're using him in the slot. They are using him in pass catching situations. So again, I like Pitts a lot. A lot more than Zach Ertz, because as you mentioned, Jaden Daniels is out as well. All right. Start 2 non-PPR, DJ Moore, Pearsall, Pickens. Wait a second now. Juwan Johnson is out. Did I miss that? Y'all, did I miss that? Hold on. I'm going to look this up. Juwan Johnson. Come on now. What are we doing out here with Juwan Johnson? I don't get it. Am I missing something? I didn't see that he was out. Oh, man. Don't tell me you're throwing misinformation in there, bro. Come on, dude. That's not cool. That's not cool at all. Anyways, start 2. DJ Moore, Pearsall, and Pickens. And again, hey, chat, let me know if I missed that. Shoot, maybe I missed it. I don't know. DJ Moore, Pearsall, Pickens. For me, I think it's either Pearsall or Pickens. DJ Moore, the vibes are off. He's the number 2. Pickens is also the number 2, but could be a potential shootout there this week. I really like Pearsall, but again, I'm not going to blame you if you play Pickens. Toss up 50-50 there. I think that Pickens has more touchdown upside, if that helps you at all. Oh, it's non-PPR. So yeah, Pickens. Sorry. You know what? That's a very important piece of that puzzle. Pickens all the way versus Pearsall. Just because, again, the touchdowns are going to matter so much more. And I think Pickens is due for a big game there. Keith Tapp, Pearsall, JCM, Troy Frank, Quentin Johnston. You're flexing 1 in PPR. I don't know how you get away from Pearsall and PPR. Again, double-digit target share potentially there for San Francisco with Juwan Jennings out. Pearsall is a great player, natural separator, good hands, explosive as well. I think we're sleeping on Pearsall. Pearsall is a dang good football player. So I like him just in terms of talent level over all of these dudes. So talent-wise, he's there. Target share, he's there. Yeah, we're going Pearsall all the way. I'm trying to talk myself into somebody else, anybody else. Backup quarterback maybe, but shoot, Mac Jones looks fine. I mean, we're talking about a former lottery pick, a former guy who was a starting quarterback. This isn't a random. And Mac Jones in this Kyle Shanahan scheme, I think he's going to be great. I think if we saw one thing with Mac Jones is that, yeah, he can fire it. I mean, look what he did in Jacksonville. Stepped in for Trevor Lawrence. The offense didn't skip a beat. You can make the case that the offense was better, which is crazy. Yeah, go ahead and give me Pearsall. I think he's going to be just fine. Jose Avalos, what's up? Good morning to you. You've got Connor in the flex, but should I bench him for anyone on the bench? You've got Swift, Allen, Diggs, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Njoku. Definitely not Njoku, not feeling that. Swift, I think, is banged up, so I think we can kind of sort of rule him out. I am interested in Keenan Allen just because they've been utilizing him a lot there in LA. Stephon Diggs, probably not, and Wan'Dale Robinson is a very interesting play, but again, he falls more into like that deep sleeper category. I think Connor's fine. If you wanted to go with Keenan Allen, I think that's fine too. Those are the only 2 options that I'm probably looking at. James Conner, Keenan Allen there. Okay. Again, Let's see here. I'm just going through some of these things here. I'm sure it's trying to find out, man. Okay, here we go. Okay, cool. Okay, where am I at? Do. Sorry, lost myself in the chat here. Just trying to catch up. Oh, here we go. Evan, go. Good morning. Good morning to you, pal. You need some help? You got to start 3, bench 1. Chuba, Swift. You were starting Ricky Pearsall, y'all. And then you need a bench. Okay, if I'm benching one, oh, this is tough, yo. This is tough. I don't know how you bench Chuba. He just sees so much work. We're hoping that he ends up being a little bit of a PPR checkdown guy. I don't know. Maybe if Dave Canales uses Chuba in the pass game where he's like keeping him in the block, then that becomes a little bit of a problem. You know what, man? I'm going to say we're going to bench DeAndre Swift. I don't feel great about it. I don't. But I want to chase the Ja'Cory Krosky merit upside. I think he showed pretty well there in week number 1. Week 2 was a disaster for Washington's run game in general. I just want to shoot that one out to the moon. I'm not counting that one too much there. So Ricky Pearsall, I think I'm sitting Swift, man. That's a tough one, though. That is a very tough one. Plus, there's all this talk about getting Kyle Monangai more involved. That's a tough one. I am going to very tepidly say we're going to bench Swift in that one. But again, I don't have a ton of confidence in that one, man. I apologize. James Coffey, strong name, James Coffey. What's up? Full PPR, Kareem Hunt, Omarion Hampton, Rashad White. You got to pick one. Well, I'm not picking Kareem Hunt. That's for sure. Again, I talked about Brashard Smith a little bit earlier. I think Kareem Hunt's role is more in jeopardy than Isaiah Pacheco's role. Brashard, they have to start getting Brashard Smith on the football field. And this guy's a natural pass catcher. Again, sub 4.4 speed. They got to get more athleticism out there. And I know Kareem Hunt's been like somewhat effective, but if we're talking, okay, let's get this guy involved in the pass catching role, it's got to be Kareem Hunt could be jeopardized there. So I'm probably leaning here Omarion Hampton. I know he has not done that well. And the Chargers continue to throw the ball a lot. That being said, he is the starter, right? And everyone else that you're talking about here, Rashad White's a backup. Kareem Hunt, definitely a backup. So I'm going to just say I think you kind of sort of have to start the starter, no? It's a scary matchup. There's no question. Denver's tough, but I still think I'm going with the starter here, man. And we're hoping that he falls into the end zone here. Again, that's a tough call. I get why you're wringing your hands on this one, though. That one's tough. David Pillsbury, pick 2 from Pacheco, ETN, Chase Brown. I don't think that's too hard. ETN and Chase Brown, 100% for sure. No problems. Pacheco or Io Manor? We're going to go Io Manor here. I like the matchup for Pacheco. I really do. The Giants have, one of the worst defenses in the NFL. And they've given up a ton of production on the ground. But Pacheco could get benched. The floor is too low. Io Manor, I think he's established a pretty good rapport with Cam Ward. I think we're okay with Io Manor. Oceanic, man. First of all, what a handle. Dog, what a handle. I love it. Who should I start? Full PPR, Marcus Mariota or Russell Wilson? Oh, my goodness. These are your choices today. Come on, man. Come on. Tell me you're in a 2 QB league because this can't be your choices here, bro. Russell Wilson or Marcus Mariota. Mariota's got a pretty good matchup against Las Vegas. Oh my gosh. Wow. The Giants, meanwhile, taking on Kansas City. Kansas City's got a pretty good defense. Although this one could be, I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but it's only a 6.5 point spread. I'm going to go Marcus Mariota, man. I know Russell Wilson just put up 450 freaking yards, brother. But I don't know. I think he might come back down to earth, dude. So go ahead. Let's go with I don't feel great about it either, Marcus Mariota, but damn, I can't believe these are your choices here. You know what? What does Vegas say? Because Vegas says, okay, the point totals for Washington 26. Point totals for New York 19. 7-point difference. That's significant. Let's go Marcus Mariota. Okay. We'll move on. Akram, Abdullah, Judkins, or Golden. I'm going Judkins right there. Golden, I don't think has separated himself from the pack of wide receivers there in Green Bay. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But it's also going to be a lower scoring game against Cleveland, right? Like the point total right now against Cleveland is just 42.5. With Green Bay being an 8.5 point favorite. We know that LaFleur loves to run the football. If they do break out to a double-digit lead, Matthew Golden's in trouble. You know what I mean? So I will go ahead and just say Judkins in that one. Interesting that it's in the same game too. But that being said, I think he's going to get a little bit more work. They're not afraid to throw him the football. So even if they are in a trailing game script, Judkins could see some PPR action right there. I really like Judkins a lot over Golden. Hopefully, we'll see. I don't know. But again, my leanings there would be Quinshon Judkins. Oops, I did it again. Johnston or McConkey. I know McConkey hasn't come through to the level that we would like to see him come through, but to me, it's clearly still McConkey. He's the, I mean, it's funny because he's on the same team, and I know Johnston's been catching, deep shots and all that. We're still going McConkey, man. We're going McConkey all day long. I don't think to me, that's not a question. I don't know. And again, Johnston could break through with a long touchdown, and maybe I look like an idiot, but again, if we're just playing. I saw somebody on Twitter say, "Oh, it's all luck." Hey, listen, it's like poker. Fantasy football is like poker. Okay, you play the best hands that you can play, and then sometimes you get beat out. Right? You could have aces over kings. You're still losing 20% of the time. Yeah, luck is involved 100%. But you telling me you would rather have kings than aces? What's wrong with you? You know what I mean? That's how I see Ladd McConkey over Quentin Johnston. McConkey is the aces. Johnston's like, he's like, it's like tens. I guess that doesn't actually change the odds that much, actually, to be honest with you. So it's like ace king over jack 10 or something, So go ahead and give me McConkey. You guys tell I love poker too. It's okay. I'm not good, but that's okay. I do love it. Iron Eddie, Troy Franklin, Io Manor, Chop League PPR. What does Chop League PPR mean? I must not be. I'm not up to the lingo. My bad. Chop League PPR. Was that Guillotine League? Chop League. Does that mean half PPR? Like half chop? I don't know. I'm confused. Either way, I'm actually going to be trusting Troy Franklin here. I really like what I saw. I know Io Manor got some work too, but I really like what I saw from Troy Franklin. I do wonder if he's emerging here, not as a 1, but like as a 1B to Cortland Sutton. I think, again, his role in the slot. By the way, Sean Payton loves players in the slot. I'm going to go Troy Franklin because he's playing primarily out of the slot there in a Sean Payton offense. That's pretty good. Tootsie Pop, Quentin Johnson, David Montgomery. This one's tough. Again, I'm leaning David Montgomery there just because I think it's a safer play overall. But again, they're taking on Baltimore. This one, it's supposed to be a high scoring game. I don't know if it's going to get to the 51.5 that Vegas has out there. Baltimore's got a good defense, guys. And again, Detroit playing on the road is not as good. So I don't know. I think David Montgomery might be more of a touchdown dependent play this week. I don't love Quentin Johnston either. I think I'm still leaning David Montgomery just because Quentin Johnson, I think, is a little too volatile. Does that make sense? They're taking on Denver. I mean, shoot, are they going to lock up the outside? Now that I think about the Denver matchup, let's go David Montgomery. I think you're in a safer spot. Baltimore is a really good defense, but again, I'm not as confident in Quentin Johnson this week, guys. I could be proven wrong because, again, they've been throwing the ball and they've been throwing the ball a lot to him. The fact that he caught an over the shoulder, like tracking the ball over his shoulder for a touchdown, that was shocking to me. I'm like, what? How did he do that? He hasn't been able to do that his entire career. What's going on over here, bro? It's crazy. Will Bowles, Brees or Rome? Wow. You must have a crazy strong team if you are picking between Brees and Rome for your flex spot. That's tough. Wow, what a lineup you must have, Will. I trust Rome more. I do. I trust the offense there in Chicago more. Better matchup. I'm gonna go Rome. I don't feel great. My confidence level on this one is like a 1. Honestly, because I love Brees Hall and he's a special player. Rome is starting to emerge as a special player too, though. I'm going to go Rome because I have a really good feeling about Chicago in this matchup this week. So I will not confidently say Rome Odunze, taking on the Dallas secondary that, again, just gave up 450 passing yards to the aforementioned Russell Wilson of all players. So yeah, Will, I'm gonna go Rome, but very tentatively there. Wow, what a strong lineup you must have, though. Backup quarterback there for the Jets. It's anticipated to be a lower scoring game. More touchdown upside, I think, with Rome Odunze. Okay, man. I wish I could give you more confidence there, but again, I will go with Rome. Big fella, Sutton or Olave full PPR. Sutton or Olave full PPR. Didn't we answer this? Yeah, we answered this one. Come on, we went with Olave there. Bow legs, Marcus Mariota, Russell Wilson. Pretty sure I got this one too. Garrett Wilson, ETN, McMillan. You need 2 in PPR. You need 2 in PPR? I'm going to go Garrett Wilson, ETN. Xavier Legette is out, which is fine, but I don't think that actually impacts McMillan at all. Xavier Legette's been working all these underneath routes and stuff like that. To me, I think that's much more like fire up Hunter Renfrow. Hunter Renfrow's got to be one of my favorite sleepers this week for sure. So, yeah, no, I'm going to go ahead and say Garrett Wilson, ETN. You know, the other thing about Tet, guys, is that, again, with Carolina down 2 offensive linemen, I am actually very concerned that will they have time to develop some of these, downfield routes. I'm not 100% sure. So, and the funny thing is, let me go check if I even have. Where do I have? I know I've got. I know I've got Tet somewhere, and I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it at all. Jordan Arhart. What's going on? Pick 2, half 1 PPR, Ladd, Mason, or Pollard. Ladd and Mason. I don't think that's, to me, it's very clear. Mason has an opportunity this week to be a top 10 fantasy running back. I love him in this matchup, and I love him just overall in general. Better offense, stuff like that. Yeah, way better offense than Tennessee. I don't care that a backup quarterback is coming in there. It's not like McCarthy was good. JJ McCarthy was ass, to be honest with you. I mean, shoot. Where have I seen this story before? Strong arm, backup quarterback, former first-round pick, former lottery pick with a lot of aspirations and high hopes, going to Kevin O'Connell. Where have I seen? Oh, that's right. Just last year in Sam Darnold. Okay, I'm not saying he's Sam Darnold 2.0, but I'm not saying it. I'm not saying that Wentz is Sam Darnold 2.0. Okay. Look, the guy's got a huge arm. He's been in this league for a minute now. He's had a backup role. Can he quiet the mind? And I think KOC is going to put him in a position to succeed as well. I really like Mason. Overall, I know it's a running back. You're like, why are you talking about Wentz? I just like Wentz overall. I think the offense is in good hands, is what I'm saying. And again, we want running backs in good offenses. I think Minnesota will have their offense will be just fine. Ladd McConkey, I think you've got to play as well. So Tony Pollard, I think, is out for me of that group. Delroy, what up, boy? Full PPR pick 1, Wan'Dale Robinson, T. Higgins. I know it's crazy that we've come to this spot. Absolutely insane. I want to play the better player in T. Higgins, most likely. Wan'Dale Robinson is in a really, really good spot. I'm going to tell you some information that's going to mess up your mind, though. Okay, so Wan'Dale Robinson is playing the Chiefs. The Chiefs gave up the second most fantasy points to slot receivers last year. Through 2 weeks, they have given up the third most fantasy points to the slot. Wan'Dale Robinson, obviously a slot player. This guy pushing 150 receiving yards last week, got a touchdown as well. And the other thing about it too is he's seeing more downfield shots. I am slowly but surely talking myself into Wan'Dale Robinson, but let me just say I do trust T. Higgins a little bit more in what I anticipate to be a higher scoring game. And I think Vegas anticipates this one to be a higher scoring game as well. Okay, so like I said, Kansas City, New York, their over-under is at 44.5. New York anticipated implied totals of 19 points total. Not a very big number overall. Not terrible, but it's just not a big number. And then when you look at Cincinnati taking on Minnesota, this one is supposed to be a lower total, 41.5, but Cincinnati's anticipated scored 19 points as well. So same. Interesting. This is changing my perspective a little bit. No, I can't, dude. I can't do it. I can't do it, man. I can't do it. I cannot sit here and advocate Wan'Dale Robinson over T. Higgins. I can't do it, bro. Delroy, I hear you though. But I'm still going to say T. Higgins. Play the studs. Evil Zilla, Quinshot Judkins, Devontae Smith. Oh, it's Judkins. I mean, shoot. What is Philadelphia doing offensively right now? I mean, they're winning games, fine. But I mean, golly, 100 passing yards last week? Nah, dude. Give me Judkins. I mean, shoot. I at least have some kind of upside there with Judkins, for God's sakes. Lad McConkey or ETN. I'm still going Lad McConkey. I love ETN. Obviously, if you guys have listened to me on RotoWire, on any kind of RotoWire content, I've been talking about ETN a lot, and how much he was derided this offseason. I was caping up for ETN. I was literally, I swear to God, and chat, let me know if I'm wrong here, but I feel like I was like one of like, I don't know, one or two. I didn't see any other fantasy analysts talking about ETN and caping up for ETN. I've got multiple videos talking about caping up for ETN. I've written articles caping up for ETN. So you're not going to find a bigger ETN truther than your boy over here, but Lad McConkey, he's too good. We're playing Lad McConkey. Jordan Arhart, I feel like a Lad TD today. Me too, man. Me too. He's due, right? Like, isn't he? If I feel like he's due, there's absolutely no analysis there. No analysis, he's due. But sometimes you just got to go with the he's due argument, man. You know, he's due. Tell me he's not. Oh my goodness. I know that's not good analysis. I don't care. Sometimes we got to do that though. Gabriel, should I start Baker or Herbert this week in a points per completion format? Wow. Points per completion. Okay. That's interesting. You know what, man? I am going to go with, I think I am actually going to go with, I'm still going to go Herbert. Again, the pass rate over expected is way out of bounds. Like, it's crazy how much they're trusting Herbert right now, which is great. So I think they'll still throw the ball. Let's see if Denver can put up some points too. And hopefully they'll be in a nice little high scoring game. I don't know. So, I'll go Herbert. Herbert's been playing out of his mind. So let's just go there. James or Andrew Opria, happy Sunday. Start 2. Cup, Hollywood. Well, I'm not playing Cup. Come on now. Hollywood, McLaurin, Hawkinson or Goddard. I am going to play Hawkinson. I don't feel great about it. But again, Philadelphia's offense, like, where is Goddard in the pecking order? He's like 4th. Like, let me go get the 2 wide receivers and the running back. And I don't know. It's like they're splitting up, 150 yards passing. No, thanks. No, thank you. I'll play Hawkinson. And I know Hawkinson hasn't done much either, but I at least have hope. With Hawkinson. I have no feelings of hope for Dallas Goedert at all, or that Philadelphia offense. Maybe I'm too down on Philadelphia. I don't know. I'm probably too down on Philadelphia. But dude, 100 passing yards last week. That's insane. That's like 1970s football. What's going on over here? Okay, if I'm starting 2, I'm starting Hollywood and McLaurin. I'm not feeling it with Cup. I know he had a decent game last week, but whatever. We go. Big fella. Come on, big fella. I know that you're spamming the chat. It's okay. What's going on? Delagizi. Oh, we got to this one already. Abuka or Ridley? Abuka or Ridley? I'm probably trusting Abuka a little bit more. I thought Ridley was going to be the dominant number one target getter in Tennessee. That's really not been the case. Alec Iomanner has really kind of sort of emerged, and I still like Ridley overall, but I think Abuka in this one. Vinny Brigandi, what a name. Man, I get name jealousy, y'all. James Koh is just such a boring name. Koh, 3 letters. Brigandi. Brigandi sounds cool as hell, man. Olave or Stevenson? Yikes. That one's tough for me. In the flex spot, I think I am probably trusting Olave just a little bit more. If it's full PPR, we're definitely going Olave here. Damon Troy, Breece Hall, Kyron Williams, Tyler Warren, or Jawan Johnson. I don't know how you sit Tyler Warren. We're not sitting Tyler Warren, guys. Breece Hall or Kyron. I don't know how you sit Kyron. And I love Breece. And I love Breece, but go ahead and give me Kyron Williams and Tyler Warren. I think for me, that one's pretty easy. James Hernandez, strong name, love it. Jamal Williams, Pickens, Dobbins, or Montgomery at the flex. Pickens for me. Although Montgomery is interesting as well. Yeah. I'm going to say Pickens, though, because I really feel like he's got a really good chance at a touchdown today. Gargantuan Monkey Fist. What a handle. Gargantuan Monkey Fist. If that's not an anime move, I don't know what is, dude. That sounds awesome. Abuka or Sutton today. 12 team, half PPR. In a half PPR format, I think I'm trusting Abuka even more. And a half PPR. If we're going just straight touchdowns, Dinosaur League, I think maybe Sutton there, but I like Abuka. I do. And again, the health does concern me, man. It really, really does. But Tampa Bay's offense has been rolling there a little bit. Abuka's been a clear big part of that offense too. I think Abuka, I'm going there. Dylan Fink. Let's all have a day. Why not? Full PPR, 2 questions. You need a tight end and a flex. Juwan, Tucker Kraft, Judkins, Abuka? Okay. You need one tight end and a flex of this group. Oh, okay. Got you. Okay. Tucker Kraft is playing. I'm a little bit worried about the injury. And it's supposed to be a lower scoring game. I think I'm actually going Juwan there at tight end. And then at the flex, I think I might go Judkins. Again, I'm just going to go with sheer volume. Yeah, but like the snap count thing is interesting that you bring up with Abuka. Sometimes they say it and it never comes to fruition. I know he's dealing with a little bit of an injury, but again, I don't know. Even with Abuka, I don't even know if snap count matters. They just use him in high leverage situations. But overall, I think if we're chasing, look, I want to go Juwan at tight end, and if we're chasing floor, if you want a little bit better floor, I think Judkins. Obviously, of that group, because Tyler Kraft a little bit banged up, Abuka a little bit banged up. Judkins obviously gives you the best floor, but I also think he gives you an interesting upside play as well. But if we're just chasing upside, just purely chasing upside, I still think Abuka is your highest upside play. But I like Judkins of that group because I think he gives you an interesting blend of both. Okay, I want to make sure I didn't miss any super chat questions. Did I think I did. Okay. Did I don't know if I did or not. Half point, Abuka, Pearsall, Bill, or Ramondre. Oh, I see. You've got okay. Give me Pearsall over Abuka and give me Ramondre over Ja'Cory. Look, I know Austin Eckler went on IR, and first of all, prayers up for him. One of the nicest dudes that you will ever meet. Really nice guy. But I'm not actually 100% convinced that Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is like the every down, like 100% for sure starter. You know what I mean? Like They're going to get Chris Rodriguez activated. They might get a couple other running backs activated in that spot there. So I'm not 100% sure. We're going to see. I think we're going to find out a lot about Bill Krosky-Merritt in this one. But I am trusting Ramondre a little bit more because it's a clear-cut 50-50 split there in New England. So I will go Pearsall and Ramondre. And then Yo Gotti. I'm assuming you're a fan. Yo Gotti. Higgins, Judkins, Hampton. Higgins, try saying this one. Yo, chat, try saying this one 10 times fast. Higgins, Judkins, Hampton. That's interesting. Quarter point PPR. What an interesting format that is. Quarter point PPR. If you're flexing one, I think we could take Hampton out. I like Judkins over Hampton. And I like Judkins over Higgins too. Backup quarterback there. Not 100% sure what that target split is going to look like right now. I'll take Judkins right there. Maybe I'm too all in on Judkins, but it really does seem as if they're more than comfortable giving him the starting gig and just giving him starter reps. I know that Dylan Sampson is going to work in as well, but you just never know, man. Okay. All right, we're just going to keep on moving. Thomas, what? Who I got in right now? Hard to bench Herbert. Oh, dude, bro, I can't understand that question at all. Abbo, what's up? Good morning to you. Thoughts on Ridley and Kraft injuries? You've got Ridley and Hunter Henry on the bench, but I'm worried about the Colts singling Ridley out and Henry putting up another dud. Derrick Henry? Oh, Hunter Henry. See, this is why I need full names. Okay, Hunter Henry. Yeah, Hunter Henry to me is a nothing. He's waiver wire. I'm more interested in Jatavian Sanders. I'm more interested in Brenton Strange. Like, to me, especially given his age, he's an older player. The in the offense spreads the ball around. Hunter Henry's purely touchdown dependent, but there's like 10 tight ends that are like that. Theo Johnson is like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not interested in Hunter Henry at all. Like at all. So hopefully that helps answer your question. I'm not 100% sure what the question is, to be honest with you. You know? So yeah. All right. James, half point PPR, pick 2, Pearsall, Etienne, Ibuka. I'm going Pearsall. Guys, it's Pearsall all day long for me. He's going to see a ton of target share. Etienne or Ibuka is an interesting one. I think I'm trusting Etienne just a little bit more. With that, by the way, with this combination, like if I'm picking 2 in this group, like I like to pick some upside, a little floor. So maybe if it's Etienne versus Ibuka straight up, maybe I go different way. But honestly, I think I like Etienne right there, especially if I'm pairing him with Ricky Pearsall. You get a little bit of floor, a little bit of ceiling right there. That's a good combination to me. Cooler hand. Jaden went down. I picked up Marcus over Russell. Marcus Mariota over Russell Wilson. Yeah, okay. We're going with it. Brian Upton, half point PPR, George Pickens or Garrett Wilson. Man. Don't make me pick between my babies. I love both these dudes. Come on now. I think Pickens gives you a more interesting upside. I will say that. Tyrod Taylor, backup quarterback there, in there with Garrett Wilson, taking on Tampa Bay. They're going to, again, scheme up some different looks. I'm not sure where Tyrod Taylor is at. I think obviously he's a veteran. I think he'll be fine. I think the Jets offense will be fine. But I don't know if he gives you a lift. Brian Upton, by the way, great icon. Let's go, Fozzie. I'm going to go Pickens here. Better quarterback, obviously. Better offense overall. I think for some reason, I just got the feeling that Pickens is really going to score a touchdown here. Potentially put up a nice number. Iron Eddie, Najee or Tracy, PPR. Man, where are we at with Tracy? The health scare? Did he get benched because he complained about the play calling? Did he get benched because of the injury? Did he get benched because Cam Scatterbo is just a better player? I'm not sure. Najee's a backup player. If we're going full point PPR, though, I think we go Tracy. Much better PPR upside. Najee's probably not going to get any, if much work at all in the pass game. It was a little concerning to see Najee in there in like high leverage situations. But again, I'm gonna go with Tracy in PPR. Yeah. Let's go. Okay, so this one's from Delroy, Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff. You know what's funny, man? I'm gonna go Baker Mayfield here. I know Jared Goff went absolutely sandwich. He went ballistic, 5 touchdowns or whatever it was in week number 2. He's on the road against Baltimore. Baltimore's got a really good secondary, and yeah, I'm trusting Goff. Not at all. I think he will come back down to earth. Baker Mayfield has been one of the most reliable fantasy resources at quarterback for the past 2 years now. I like it. Drew Johnson, AJ Brown, Mike Evans. Man, I'm going Mike. I hate myself for this. I've got AJ Brown in a league, and I don't trust Philly's offense at all, man. I'm going Mike Evans, Drew. Again, 100 yards passing last week, Doug. Like, that's crazy. You have literally 3 first-round picks at wide receiver. 3 of them. 3 first-round picks at wide receiver. You threw for 100 yards. That's great. That is crazy. Show me another team. Show me another team with 3 first-round wide receivers throwing for 200 yards. Show me another team. 3 first-round picks. I mean, even the Chargers. Ladd McConkey is second. You know, like, what are we talking about? Tampa Bay, did they got 3? I don't think so. Abuka's a first. Mike Evans a first. Who else they got? Sterling Shepard? I don't think he was. Was he a first? I don't think he was a first. Okay. Glenn Nino, Travis Etienne, David Moore. Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry. I thought you were asking me about 3 different players. I know David Moore stepping in there for Leggett, and Dave Canales loves scheming up plays for David Moore. But we're still going Etienne here. Yeah. Jameson Williams or Keenan Allen, PPR. I mean, you already know what the look. I'm not breaking in any news here. Keenan Allen is safer in PPR. Jameson Williams gives you a better ceiling. Jameson Williams could legitimately give you 5, or he can give you 25. I mean, I'm not breaking any ground here. He's got to catch a deep shot, and he's going to try to do that against Baltimore, who has one of the best secondaries in the NFL. I would hate. Look, I'm going to say Keenan Allen, but Brett, do not hate me if Jameson Williams ends up catching, a 50-yard shot for a touchdown. As any analyst, how do you predict something like that? All I know is that he's going up against Baltimore, and it's tough. So I'm not 100% trusting that. Okay, Mr. Tony, what's up? DK or DJ Moore? I like DK. Yep, I do. DJ Moore's a secondary receiver there for a Caleb Williams-led offense that is kind of sort of up and down. DJ Moore is the number 2. Okay. I'm passing up super chats, am I? Dog, am I? I don't feel like I am. What am I doing? My bad. Am I passing up super chats? I don't think I am. I thought I got them all. No. What did I miss here, bro? Tell me what I miss. We got Abuka, Pearsall. We got this one. Oh, this is you? Okay. I thought I got to this. No. Pearsall, Olave Ridley, pick 2 in PPR. Okay, so we like Pearsall for sure, 100%. And if I'm picking 2, I'm going Olave. I love the overall volume there for Olave. A big game is coming for Olave at some point. He's got to stay healthy. He's staying healthy right now. And I'm going to say Pearsall and Olave. To me, clear cut the 2 guys in PPR. I feel really confident actually about that. So again, if I missed that, bro, I completely apologize. Let me just say that, okay? Michael Parla Greco, let's go. What's up? Good to see you this morning. Non-PPR Cortland Sutton or versus LA or Swift versus Dallas. I like. I'm gonna say, oh golly, I don't like either one, to be honest with you. I don't love either one, but I will say Cortland Sutton. Only because he's the number 1 there for Denver. Again, potentially a higher scoring game. I don't know. We're going to find out. Mr. Tony says, I take Swift in that. Yeah. Again, to me, it's very close to 50-50 in this one, but I will lean Sutton, although I don't hate it if you're playing Swift right there. Ice Cold Ace, half PPR, flex start, Devontae Smith or Brian Thomas Jr. Who on the struggle bus do you want to play? I'm going to go Brian Thomas Jr., man. They got to get that thing figured out. I'll go Brian Thomas Jr., who's the number one receiver there in Jacksonville. Okay, let's go. PPR flex, Chuba, Hubbard, T. Higgins. I'm just going to try to rip as many of these as possible. PPR flex, Chuba or T. I am going to go in PPR. I'm going to go T. Higgins right there. I know Chuba's going to get some work, but not worried about it. Quinshon Judkins, Nick Chubb. I'm going to go Judkins. Chubb, I think, could be in a little bit of trouble. Valor, PPR, Kyron Williams or Alvin Kamara. I don't look. I know Kyron has not looked great, but too much snap share. We're going Kyron. Zahir, Ertz or Njoku, half PPR. God, dude, I guess I will go Ertz. I think it's going to be a much lower scoring game, Green Bay, Cleveland. So I'll go Ertz right there. Pierce or Najee. What? Dude, I don't even know who we're talking about here. Damian Pierce? Damian Pierce isn't playing today, right? Bob Jensen, Amuka, Sutton, or Golden, or Dobbs? Let's go Abuka. Let's go Abuka right there. I like Sutton too. Not feeling Golden. I had Dobbs is really, really interesting, but I will pass for the more talented Abuka for sure. Yo Gotti, quarter PPR. I think I got this one right. Okay, let's go. Is this a pre-recorded stream? No, it is not, friend. I'm just behind on some of these chats. They're coming in. There's 650 of y'all watching this stream. Like, there's a lot of questions in here, homie. I'm trying to get to them as many as I can, man. Algier or Tyrone Tracy? I'm going to go Tyrone Tracy. Better format in PPR for sure. Sutton is due. Sutton is due, actually. Dr. Giggle, Standard League, Start 2, Jordan Mason, Pearsall, Tet. Yeah, Jordan Mason, Ricky Pearsall. Pretty sure we got to that one. Let's go. AJ, full PPR. Need a flex. Dobbins, Hampton, or DJ Moore. Boy, that one's a tough one for me. I am going to go in PPR. I think I'm actually going to go Dobbins. I don't have a strong lean here because, again, I think all these dudes are touchdown dependent, man. Sports Spotlight, Abuka or Hampton? Oh, Abuka. No question. Got to this one already. Ray Gamer, Cam Little, Jake Bay. You're asking me a kicker question? Nah, dude, come on, bro. I'm out. Sorry. Jose, asking me a quick kicker question. My God. JMO or Sutton Franklin? Sutton/Franklin? Wait, what? I'm so confused. I am going to say Sutton over Franklin. I might take JMO over both of them, though. I will take JMO over both of those guys. OG Bobby, Ricky Pearsall, easy, all the way. Okay, full PPR, start one, flex one. Rome, we're starting Rim. We got to play Rome. Don't care about Debo. Charbonnet, Hollywood. Okay, so you're definitely playing Rome, and if I'm flexing one, I'm probably flexing Marvin Harrison Jr. All right, Laura, I hope I get to this one in time. Abuka, Chuba, or Higgins? We are playing Abuka in this one. Full PPR. Yeah, Laura, I think we're going Abuka. Dane, this is, I think, the last one. I don't know if I'm going to get to any more. Start 2, Keenan Allen, Higgins, McLaurin, or Connor. We're playing Higgins of this group, and I think we're playing Connor of this group too. I don't have a great lean here. McLaurin with a backup quarterback doesn't feel great. Keenan Allen feels like he might take a back seat. So that would be my thought. Zach Ertz or Juwan Johnson? Oh, it's Juwan Johnson by a million miles. Sutton or JMO? Again, what do you want? Floor or ceiling? I'm going to go JMO there, though. Eric Anders. Okay, Metcalf, T. Higgins, or Judkins. I like Judkins. Okay, that's it, guys. Oh, listen, chat. I try to get through as many questions as possible. I don't get to them all. I do apologize. All right, but we got it, man. So again, by the way, if I miss the super chats, bro, like it's definitely not my intention. I see them, I do, and I try to get to them. But again, I'm jumping in midstream, so I'm not even 100% sure which super chats Jim got to or not. You know what I mean? So again, if I didn't get to your question, man, I do apologize. I do try to get to as many of these bad boys' questions. But again, if you guys have start sit questions, find me on Instagram, find me on TikTok, find me on Twitter at James D. Koh. If you find me on Instagram, I'm really trying to build up my Instagram following at James D. Koh, KOH there. And I will try to get to as many of those questions during the week as possible. I'm really good about answering my DMs, y'all. So again, I appreciate everyone out there. I hope everyone scores a million fantasy points, man. We will see you guys next week. And for Jim, I'm James. Peace. We'll see you. Remember, it's never too late to chase your dreams. Okay, peace.